Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to episode number 2 of the free-to-play podcast. Episode number 2. Last week, we were talking about the best controllers. We talked a little bit about the worst controllers. And this week, we're going to talk about the best games, or at least what we think are our favorite games of all time. We'll probably talk a little bit about what could be the best games overall of all time, but we'll also probably give our own opinions as well. Tonight we lost to Troy, but we gained a Jake DeMarco, who's here, and the Himmel God, Himmel Champ, Brian Himmelfarb is here.
Oh, yeah.
And he is in rare form.
Well, I was banging my head when you started the show. Jeez.
Yeah, this shit will get you going.
As soon as that music hit, I was like, damn, son.
Yeah, I like this music, man. This is getting me going. Let's just go do some drugs.
Yeah, no shit.
No, I'm just kidding. So
hey, I'm in South Florida. What do you want?
Oh, man. And we got Leah is here as well, and D Moon is here also. And what's up to everybody in the chat? I see that the Goon has already dropped a super chat in our chat for the people that aren't listening live. It's recorded. She says, "Battle tanks, global assault for N64 was the shit."
Oh yeah,
I loved Battle Tank for original Nintendo. I didn't get to play the N64 game, but I did play the original Nintendo game. Oh, we got a super chat.
Oh shit.
Expect
hands
that.
Down, Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best.
I don't know why
There's
I'm hearing
echo,
two.
FYI.
Don't know why I was hearing two donations at the same time.
Oh my God.
So for the people listening on podcast, yeah, we're live, so we do have some live alerts going on here. KC8 says, hands down, Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best. Leah, you want to go first?
One game of the year.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it is one of the best games. It is.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite series is Zelda.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
So I'd have to pick Zelda, but I mean, like, I had two others that I was
like, if you can only take one game with you, like, which game are you taking?
Shit.
To where?
Whatever. To
the island.
To the island, yeah, on the island by yourself.
Island, yeah,
What's your favorite game of all time? You sure it's not WoW, because you're on that all the time?
You know what? That I would go with WoW because there would be more to do.
Yeah.
Because I've basically 100% completed like a massive amount of the Zelda games, so I'd just be doing it again.
Yeah. So you would take WoW for playability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For playability.
So
yeah. I mean, as far as like I've replayed Zelda games before. Like I like them that much. I've gone back and replayed them, especially like when they re-release stuff.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII, the greatest game of all time.
That is certainly one of the best games of all time.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people say that, and I never got into the creation of Final Fantasy.
I was never into, outside of Pokemon, I don't know why with Pokemon I'm fine with it, but outside of that I'm not into like turn-based fighting style games.
I'm the exact same way, Leah. I got into the Pokemon craze. I had a Game Boy, got into it with my friends. And I think that just because it felt a little bit more like it was so popular too, I think that kind of drove me to like it a bit more. You felt included, and especially with the age bracket of friends and whatnot. I think that was like 5th and 6th grade for me. But turn-based strategy games, that and Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars, for the original Xbox. I loved that game.
Shit.
But besides those two, I really like RTS games too, real-time strategies like Command and Conquer, Red Alert. I played so many hours of that.
Shit out of like Age of Empires, and I was like a month ago I was playing Age of Mythology.
Oh yeah, classic.
Love those games. But it's funny, it's like I said, like I don't like the turn-based games, but Pokemon for whatever reason I'm fine with. But that was gonna be like that was the third one I was tossing around because I still play those games. Like I still like them.
Yeah, Pokemon and like I said with Star Wars, KOTOR were the only two real turn-based games that I could get into for RPGs. I like games that have RPG elements, but as far I like to be part of the action. I like to have at least some control rather than just pick what my character does. So many of my friends tried to get me into like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy, and party management and inventory control, and just pressing a button and watching a cutscene didn't do a lot for me. And I don't even care for games that have a lot of like quick time events where you have to tap X 1,000 times. I like to be more in control the entire time.
If you don't mind, if I can ask you a question.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about the Command and Conquer games going to mobile phones?
Dude, I'm pissed about that. I wanted a new one.
I'm enraged.
Well, are they saying that they're not going to be on PC? Because that's where I play.
Yeah, no, they're not releasing. They bought the license and acquired it just to go ahead and turn it into a slot machine.
Yeah,
oh, man.
Insane.
It's nothing but a money grab, and I understand why they're doing it because it's so profitable. Everything on mobile. We were discussing this the other day, Joe. You know, how easy it grabs you. I made a joke because, you know, my fiance has been playing that stupid Cooking Pro game, whatever, on her phone. Next thing I know, I get an alert from Verizon.
I was going to play that the other day.
She loves it.
I thought about it.
No, it's not Overcooked. It's
oh, no, wait. I was thinking of the Switch game.
Yeah, that's Overcooked. She's playing Cooking Masters. I forget what it is, and she's like, damn it, I'm out of cupcakes. Next thing you know, I get an alert on my phone from Verizon. It's like, you spent $10.99 on gems. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't start. You know, it's like, oh, God. Yeah, but those things are designed to make
that the other day.
Purchase their currency.
What was I playing? Oh, I was playing Pokemon Go. And I needed I needed like more bag space or something like that. And I was like, fuck it, I'm an adult. I can buy this.
Exactly. Yeah. And then next thing you know, I need more Pokeballs. Oh, I need more lures. And I actually spoke to someone when Injustice 2 came out. It was big and mobile. And he spent, I shit you not, I know I have it in my text somewhere, $7,000 on a mobile game.
I think there's a different mentality. He was buying
$100 gem packs at a time. Next thing you know, you don't realize it. And, you know, because he's trying to get the Wonder Woman card, the rare 5-star, you know, and he just kept buying and buying and buying and buying.
There's a different mentality with those games. Like, there's a mentality of, like, trying to keep yourself really busy. So, like, that's the phone. So, like, you'll pay for it, I think, more because you're entertaining yourself. It's different. Like, whereas, like, I'm playing Diablo, I want to, like, beat people's scores and make my character strong, but I don't want to pay for all this crap, like, that I would have to pay for. But when I'm playing on the mobile phone, I'm entertaining myself, so I might pay for something. But I really don't do much mobile gaming because I just don't see it as... I'm sure a lot of people aren't like this anymore, or especially the younger people, but I don't see it as like legitimate. So like I don't really care if like I'm not in the top ranking or if I can't unlock the next thing. I just end up putting it down and going like I don't care. Like
I'm the same way. It doesn't feel on the same level as a console or even a PC would. But remember when Diablo 3 first released and they had the real money auction house?
Yeah, I
was actually so tempted to buy items for my character and weapons and stuff because I couldn't find it in game. You actually hit a wall, and they had done that in such a design sense. It was intentional because they wanted the auction house to actually matter and be relevant.
The difference is
finding legendaries was so few and far between that it was almost impossible.
The difference there was that I felt like I was part of the game though because I was selling them. So like when you can actually buy and sell things, it felt like that was the game. But that is the problem, that the game was based on money. But
a lot of developers, though, want that.
You look forward to some of these companies that look forward to a whale or two to go ahead and give them your money because that's what they want. You know, you can get some people that want to sit there and play for free, but they want the guy that's going to spend like $100 or $200 on a fucking game or even $1,000 or like you mentioned, $7,000, you know, they want that whale to go ahead and pay for some of the shit that they're going ahead and putting online.
Right.
You know what's cool about Pokemon Go? Because like I've spent money. I haven't spent a ton. I think I've maybe spent $10 total.
Okay.
And it's a free game. You know, you got to keep that in mind too. That matters.
Yeah, but they're also doing something else that I think is like pretty cool. When the new game comes out, you'll be able to take the Pokemon you've caught on Pokemon Go and put them into your game on the Switch.
Yeah.
And I think vice versa too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of cool that they're like taking a mobile game and then integrating it into being able to play with the Switch. And they're also
that's neat. That does make it more viable and interesting.
And then they're on top of that, they have the controller that you can use with the game that's shaped like a Pokeball.
Yeah.
And it comes with a Mew in it too. Like right off the bat, you'll have a Mew.
I so want to play that with the Mew.
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
pre-ordered it. I'm not, you know, I was like, I'm not competing with like all these stupid little kids trying to get it and everything like that. I was like, again, I'm an adult. I'm gonna pre-order it for myself. So, but
I'm an adult. I love that line.
Well,
Yeah, so many times
scalp that.
well, so many times they have the kids seem to have the advantage, but not now.
But it's like what I was like getting at too is like I think I don't know, I like when games have like cool little things like that. But like the other thing you can do with that controller, it acts as a controller with the Switch, so you can kind of be like, oh, like you're throwing a ball. You know, like TVs are gonna get broken again. It's the Wii all over again. But
put the fucking strap on.
Buddy of mine smashed his TV.
yeah, like what's cool about
like
it
you want to
though,
come
too,
over and play Wii? He's like, never mind.
you can actually you can put another Pokemon from your game into the ball and take it with you places.
Yeah,
And like
that's
when,
really neat.
when you move it, it'll make noises. I think it's kind of like the Pokewalker or whatever it was from the past.
Yeah, from the yeah.
And so I'm not 100% sure on whether you can like level things up that way or collect items that way. I kind of imagine that you probably can since they did that with the Pokewalker. So.
It's not enough when it used
Really
to be on
quick
your
is-
phone and people would drive to a location going,
Yeah.
you gotta get me my Pokeballs! Oh,
Until they took the GPS, into consideration. Now you can't even go fast enough on a bike without them.
no kidding.
Oh yeah. I remember
Leah, really
that.
quick. I don't want to drag this show anywhere else, but you guys will appreciate this, especially Bulbapedia, the community-driven Pokemon encyclopedia, got themselves into hot water the other day because they sent out a rant of tweets from their community leaders, basically saying how they were standing against everything Trump and his administration are doing with, the separating of families that are immigrating into the country, and how imprisoning people is awful and never should exist. But this is coming from a community of diehard gamers in a game where you literally go out in the wild and find animals at peace and capture them in a ball and then force them to fight each other for your entertainment. Like, if you take a step back and look at it, it's just the irony is so delicious that you can't help but they're like putting people in cages is wrong and you're doing this for your own amusement. And I'm like, that's Pokemon. Like,
You're also renaming them too. That's funny.
yeah. Oh.
How you doing?
Well, he'll bring that up and say like,
Oh,
"Oh, you
yeah.
people do it. Oh, it's a video game, you dildo."
Oh, yeah. But honestly, like you said,
he's beyond the border.
they need that whale, and that's why they make things so addicting. And they know their target market, and they know the majority of people may never spend a dollar, and then a higher percentage of that will only spend 99 cents. But it only takes 1% of their overall user base to spend $500 to $7,000 each, and they do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dump that money
absolutely.
in, and that's what they focus on. That's why it has all the little rewards and the flashing lights. It's a slot machine. It encourages you to keep coming back. It gives you that community driven goal. So now you feel like you're defending your gym, and it gives you a sense of pride and something to work towards.
Yeah.
If you lose that accomplishment,
I just
you
hope
actually
that
can value yourself.
I hope
your
Diablo
self-worth.
doesn't, because I know they did it with Diablo 3, and thank God they fixed the game. After that, it became a game again. It became a great game. Although I was crying at the time because I really did enjoy the stock market thing. I was addicted to making. I mean, dude, I was making money. I was like,
But that's your mindset. See, you just admitted you were addicted to it because you like business. You like stocks. You like the stock market. You enjoy that volatile up and down. How can I not game the system, but how can I work
do
it to my
enjoy
advantage?
I enjoy
You have a
finding an
business
exploit.
mindset.
It was like finding the greatest exploit ever. I was able to, go on to Diablo and say, to buy for real money millions of gold, and then take that millions of gold, go to the gold auction part, buy an item that's selling for 7 million gold, and then turn it around and sell it for $12. Meanwhile, it was $1 for me to buy 20 million gold, and I would just keep that. I would keep that up. Think about it. Like
Yeah.
that's all.
And
nobody was
you would
doing
be able
it.
to turn quite a bit of profits.
Yeah, 1 month I made $600 in Diablo 3. I mean, it was blowing my
for a
mind.
$60 purchase too. No
And
less.
dude, I thought that was going to be life for a while. I was like, this is amazing, because I was in school for I was in school for HVAC, and I was like, man, this is gonna be able to sustain us. Hopefully, like we're almost on food stamps then and stuff. So like it was just
HVAC. I found Diablo.
Yeah, fucking forget this. Like I mean,
see, that's the thing that I, on the other hand, had a different mindset. I was frustrated by it because I viewed as if a lot of the in-game content was behind a paywall, and that's how I viewed it. To me, it wasn't like, oh, the adventure of trying to make money and acquire things through an auction house. It was, I don't want to pay this and play this because I spent $60 on an incomplete title. I felt like, they're just greedy and want more money.
Well, how are you going to make a game?
And enjoyed it and was able to, for a certain extent of time.
Well, you're making a game where, and this became a Diablo podcast, but you're making a game where, we'll get back to the best games in a minute, but this is so interesting.
This is relevant in money and how games are spending nowadays, how much you have to pay for a barrier of entry.
But the thing was, it's so rare to find stuff. It's how primals are now in Diablo. So, like, legendaries are whatever. You find legendaries, pretty much it doesn't matter now. You find ancients, and sometimes they can matter, but pretty much you've geared up pretty well. But now it's primals, and then a lot of times when you find a primal, there could be hundreds of primals that could drop, and you only need a few of them. You only need about 20. There's only probably like maybe 12 to 15 primals you're looking for, and so you could drop one. And that's how rare it is now for primals, and that's exactly how rare it was for legendaries at that time, except I can't go on the auction house right now and buy a primal item. And the whole point of the game is it's so rare that it's amazing when you find it. So if you just have it on the auction house, that completely ruins the whole basis of the game, the idea.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of gamers, to me nowadays, I feel are over entitled and spoiled. Because I remember, we've paid the same $60 price tag for decades now for new releases. From the Super Nintendo onwards, even maybe regular Nintendo, actually, if my memory serves me correct, games were $50 then. GoldenEye was $70 when it came out. And it hasn't changed. So I understand why developers are trying to make more money because games are more expensive. You went from, $10 million to make a huge AAA game to $500 million. Destiny 1 cost $500 million to create. No wonder why they're selling emotes for $10 a piece.
Yeah, that's an insane amount of money.
That's a big problem for them right now because the AAA budget, when you look at it, is just so freaking high. And, a $60 price tag is just never enough. And where you're looking at a lot of these AAA developers holding stuff back, a lot of content back, either A, through a pre-order bonus, or B, through countless amounts of DLC, it's ridiculous to the point where gamers are sitting there saying, listen, I don't want to spend $100 or $120 or more on a game anymore. It's retarded. Yeah. And you look at so many developers now at this day and age where they're saying, okay, fine, we'll give you the DLC for free, but that there's a little ulterior motive where they're going to go ahead and do microtransactions and whatever, not to go ahead and make that money back. So.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of the gamers, they are upset about season passes, and I can agree. When you have things, you get only the base game, but it doesn't include everything. That more content was just cut content. They went ahead, they made a full game, and they gave you 70% of it, and then they took the other 30% and they're splitting it and giving it to you 10% at a time in the form of a season pass. And that's a very slippery slope and wrong practice as well. But I'll give you a prime example. Destiny 2 has a release coming out in September, and this is a full-blown expansion at this point. And it's $40 for this price tag. So you spent $60 on the original game, and now you can get the game for $12 on Steam and $20 on Xbox Live. And then you need the other two DLCs to play, but they're having discounts when you purchase the expansion pass anyways. But the point is, you know how many hours you're going to get out of this expansion? I at least 60 minimum, I'm guaranteeing. And the thing is, how much entertainment do you get for your dollar? You pay how much for movie tickets generally? $12 for a Friday night to go see a movie? That's 2 hours. So you're talking about $6 an hour. Destiny like 2, I put hundreds of hours into for a $60, price of entry. So people are complaining, oh, I already bought the game, now I got to spend more to get this extra content. Well, this is new stuff, newly developed, and I get some arguments, but other times people just feel entitled. You don't need to purchase it if you don't want to. They're not taking, new stuff and keeping it away. They're still updating the base game and changing things. And then there's other developers that lock everything away, so like EA. They did that with Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2, yeah.
Yeah, D Moon and I talked about that quite a bit, and they literally locked everything behind a paywall. You couldn't play as other characters like Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Without purchasing loot boxes.
That's where I have a problem with microtransactions. Like I don't care if there's microtransactions as long as they don't affect the main game and like how you're going to perform and how you're going to play. Like if you want to spend money on like some stupid emote or a skin or something like that, like I don't care about microtransactions for that. But I don't think people should have to play. Like when people can just buy the better character. Yeah, they're paying to win. So it's like that. I hate that. I don't think microtransactions should be there for that. They should be there for like stupid little extra things. Like there's stuff I can buy. Only. Yeah, I can buy stuff in Warcraft. I can buy mounts and pets and whatever. I can't buy good gear. I can't buy a better character.
Yeah, it shouldn't impede progress, and it shouldn't give you an advantage in-game. Nothing should be pay to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cosmetics is fine.
Yeah, I like the idea of cosmetics, but
yeah.
And like little funny trinkets.
Right, that's what Battlefront did. They screwed everybody over. You literally, if someone put a bunch of money into the game, they were stronger, faster, and better than you in every way.
Yeah.
And yeah, not only that, but like as soon as they realized they had all that, they were kind of shitting on people. They backpedaled, and by that point, it was too late. Like, everyone stopped playing it.
People say this about EA Sports, the sports games, and I'm a big. But let me say this. This is
EA
interesting.
Needs to die.
They do. They really do.
They ruined Command & Conquer 2. That's how we started.
They ruin everything they touch, and they buy up all these small companies or drive them out of business so that they can keep like shitting on people the way they want to.
I looked on Madden. One thing I didn't realize was because I realized you can buy your own team. You can buy the more cards you buy, the better players you get, the better your team is.
Yeah.
But what I noticed on Madden that I didn't notice before, which I'll give them a little credit for, I think, is it seems that when you receive enough 90 overall players, you get put into a different tier. So I'm playing people who are way better than me, but on a different tier. So like if you have level 87 overall players, you're not going to play somebody who's got level 98. They've actually tiered it, so it's not like
that's skill-based matchmaking. So they make it even, so it's always competitive. So when you like if your rating is an 88, you're always going to play somebody from an 86 to a 90.
Right.
That's what they try and do.
Right.
And that's what some people complain about, because Call of Duty, people used to love going in and you played against randoms. You can get a great lobby and have to sweat the entire time and bust your ass to try and get that win. Or you can go in there and dominate because you're playing against a bunch of, Christmas noobs that never picked up a controller before. You're stomping all over retarded Timmy and his, wall-licking friends. And that's how it works. No, that's what the advertising, marketing team pushed towards. They wanted you to know that you always had a chance to dominate. That's why the kill streaks and things like that were fun. Then they changed it, and that's why COD stopped succeeding, because they made it skill-based.
I will say that we are going to take phone calls in a little while, guys, so just sit back and relax. It's a little bit of a long show. We'll sit back. We'll take some calls in a few. I'm going to play the donations that are here, and I want to shout out to Tyler Floyd and to Bad Omen and to Cassie Lynn, who all donated the bits on Twitch, just set records on Twitch. I keep flashing the picture just because I've never seen anything like that on Twitch, so thank you.
That's awesome.
It was gaming related. I've never seen 12,000 bits, so that was wacky. But getting back to our best favorite games, I mean, we could really talk about the best games, but also, we can throw out our favorite games too. And I think it is tough to figure it out because Leah kind of got me when you say like, you're alone on an island. It's kind of like, well, I think maybe this game, maybe Halo's like I would take Halo, but I might get after a while maybe that would get boring, and I could take a something else, Diablo or something. But so forget that scenario. But just think of your favorite games plus the main ones. Now let's go back to what was it? What did we bring up a minute earlier? Was it Zelda? Is anybody else's favorite game?
One of my favorites is Ocarina of Time for the 64.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
I think it just kind of has to be that way. That game was so revolutionary for its time. Yes. It was so captivating.
That game is the game that got me. Like I had played some game. That is the game that got me hooked on games.
Because it felt like you were in a world.
In search of the next game like that game.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you something about
why. It was so
why.
revolutionary because it caused forward thinking. It didn't hold your hand at all. It dumped you into a world and said, here are the tools, finish your task. And it would give you little tutorials, but never enough that impeded your progress or felt too intrusive, or obtrusive, I should say. Like, nothing ever got in your way except for yourself. It wasn't like, oh my God, I have to watch this cutscene again, or oh no, I've done the same mechanic 1,000 times. Every dungeon had different aspects and trials for you to complete. Nothing was ever the same. It was different every time. If you went to the underwater world, it was a maze, and you can get lost in there for days at a time.
A water temple.
Literally,
temple?
yeah.
Oh, Jesus
Fuck
Christ,
that temple,
you
by the way.
brought that
I
up.
fucking hated that one.
That temple is not hard. Everybody always bitches about that temple.
No, it wasn't hard, but it was
That temple is
annoying.
not hard.
Yeah.
And the boss, that Morpha, is the easiest fucking boss of all time.
It is.
You know
See,
what?
I didn't
I
think it
hate
was
the
hard, but
fucking
I got
shadow.
lost.
I hated the shadow temple, and I hated the forest temple.
Yeah, the forest one.
The
you
music
you got
and
the
the forest
grappling
temple.
hook, but
Fucking forest temple gave me the fucking spooks. Like, it was fucking scary.
the way they layered that game, Joe, I
you
don't
call
know if
me?
you ever played it yourself, but every time you started to feel like it was slowing down or staggering a bit, they introduced a new element, a new weapon, a new item, a new enemy type. There was always something new to be done or to experience that it was never.
And it was like, you remember like the long quests? Like, the piece by piece quest, and they had this one. I loved Majora's Mask for this because they had a ton of them because of all the masks. But like, like the little piece by piece quests, you get a mask. You have to take the mask to the guy at Kakariko Village, or what? Like it's like you'd go piece by piece to end up with something at the end.
Yeah,
that was just so much fun. Or like, collecting the what the hell are they? The chickens, the Kukuos? I can never remember what they're called or how to say their name.
I don't recall. Yeah,
It's like
cuckoos.
cuckoos. The
Cuckoos.
cuckoos. Yeah, you'd have to collect all of that dumb girl's cuckoos or whatever. So she'd give you like
A milk
like
bottle, I think. It was an empty bottle. Or
was
something.
it a bottle or an egg or so? One of them, I get them mixed up because it's like if you remember, Majora's Mask basically took all the same characters and put them in different roles.
Right.
Yeah.
So like running your horse or like running Epona around the fences and then being able to jump her out of there to escape and so it was like fun stuff like that. Like it was just these little things that you had to these little things that you completed to get to the next stage of something else or to get something else that would help you along. I love puzzles. So it's like you took two of my favorite things, like a hands-on type fighting game and puzzles and figure stuff out type things and put them together. I think is why I love that game so much.
Brian, I think you would say too, you felt accomplished when you did something in the game. When you unlock something new, the reward music would hit, dun 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 dun, and you'd have that. You constantly felt like you were succeeding. And when you messed up, you didn't usually get frustrated, like, oh, I'm going to give up. How am I going to approach this differently? How am I going to go ahead? What do I have to change to succeed here? And it really it made you think differently. It made you play differently. It introduced new play styles. It was just totally, I hate saying the word revolutionary, but for its time,
when you
absolutely was.
When you can hit a game, when you can make a game that when you fail at something, you aren't thinking like, oh, damn it, and you're going to walk away. You're thinking instead like, okay, what happened? And now what am I going to do? I'm going to try this again. And certainly, yeah, sometimes you could get frustrated, but most of the time, you're actually excited to try it again. It's just that, like, what a hook. But I didn't really play the game. I got to tell you, I'm the only one that I didn't play Ocarina. I didn't play anything after the second game made for original Nintendo. After, I think it was Link. It was Zelda and then Link and
Link to the Past.
The worst.
Yeah, and then I didn't play anything else after that.
You know what's fun about
all I wanted to do was just break pots. I mean, for crying out loud.
The other cool thing about that game, and this is like you could see it in other games too, was that the bosses had mechanics to them that you had to figure out. Like the shadow boss, Bongo, I think his name was. You had to like shoot his eyes or shoot his hands, or like
it's like Mike Tyson's Punch Out. You had to punch the guy in the little X and his pants fell down.
Well, yeah, it wasn't just like a run up and beat something up, we call it in WoW, we call it a tank and spank.
Yeah.
It wasn't a tank and spank. You had to figure out the mechanics to it to be able to get around them.
Yeah, it wasn't how much damage can I do. It was, a certain strategy that was involved. Even with the main boss, with Ganondorf at the end, you had to go ahead and get those, the holy arrows, the light arrows, and you had to, shoot the projectiles back at him. And you went from playing baseball to archery to straight up badass sword play in a matter of 3 minutes.
Deflecting the beams back at him and stuff.
Yeah, playing baseball. You were swinging stuff, and you made you feel powerful. So that game is definitely one of my all-time favorites for sure.
Did you guys play?
Oh, 1 second, Morton. I'm sorry.
For Atari 2600 is awesome, same as Pac-Man. Lol.
E.T.
Yeah, I mean, no, seriously, like if you looked up the top 10 games of all time, I'm sure.
Oh my god.
Tetris is still on there, by the way.
Pac-Man is on there. Tetris is on there. Maybe.
Oh, Tetris! I love Tetris.
Somebody's making an argument for Pong.
And Dr. Mario.
Yeah.
Which is basically
Dr. Mario.
Yeah.
Dr. Mario was great. I played the hell out of that in '93.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh my god.
No, but I had a question.
Free?
Oh, shit.
I'm gonna drop a couple of these.
What's up, Joe, Jake,
Don't
Leah,
forget what you're gonna
Connor.
say, D-Moon. Don't forget it. What's up, Joe, Jake, and Leah, and Connor? What's up, Mike Daniels?
Where's Connor at?
He ain't even here. And Troy's not here either, man. Thank you, Mike.
Holy cow.
What's up? Yeah, I'll play a couple more of these because people were dropping them. And yeah, oh damn, I was something else I was supposed to say and now I forgot. But yeah, I forgot. Oh, I know what it was. I just gotta pull it up now. There's gonna be a couple of these that pop in.
Wasn't D-Moon gonna say something?
Yeah, but I didn't want.
Yeah, but I
want to give him the time to say it. Yeah, I don't want to interrupt what he was gonna say. Well, we did, but I don't want to interrupt it more.
Whoops.
Josh Lyons, thank you for becoming a patron. Cassie Lynn became a patron. Derek.
Super chat party.
That was Heistman Defoe. He just dropped a $2 super chat. I think just for the fun of it. Tipping us. Thanks, Heistman, for the tip. Also, Hamza, Cindy, Meet Miro, and Meet Miro. Jesus. Now when they tell me I got a new patron, it says meet them. So like it says meet their name. So like it's lit like all in bold. So it looks like their name is like, look at this, like it's ridiculous. And I read look, and it's all in bold. Look at that. Meet Scott McKinnon, meet Miro. So it's like, but why the meet is throwing me off?
ShiBUM. Talking about add-ons in games. When Fortnite released on just iOS, they made 100 million. In the first 90 days from just cosmetic purchases.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's insane.
Trust me, dude. My son is like, we've bought him a couple skins, and it's like ridiculous. It's way...
There's a sense of self-worth, amongst school-age children for having those skins.
I said this last 2 weeks ago. I said, instead of being like, you got the new shoes, my kids online being like, I don't look cool enough. They look cool. And oh God, they've done that to the kids. They're all competing and they're making fun of the other kid. It's like it's a digital game, you douche.
This isn't a favorite. I just donate the way I please.
Oh.
Joe will come to Boston if you get rid of the young bucks. Come with a baseball bat and pound you.
Are we still monetize this? What the fuck?
Yeah, Steven German thinks it's still monetized this.
Oh my god.
Dude's a mess. There's Tyler Floyd's 15,000 bits in Real Bad Omen in
Dude, that's awesome right there.
Crazy. 15,000 for Tyler, 12 for Bad Omen.
Damn, dude.
Steven, thanks for the 5. He might get there soon if he keeps this up.
Oh, they donate to my stream.
I'll play yeah, right. Go see Himmelgod.
Super chat party.
You're just gonna give it back to me.
Oh my god,
I'm
German.
always watching.
I'm always watching, says German.
I'm always watching.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Just think of freaking Monsters Inc. right there.
Oh my god. And the way he sounds, it's probably like that. Where are we here on the list? I don't know yet. Oh, we're coming up. We're getting closer.
We're almost there.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far behind. Thank you, Steven, though. I will. I'm going to pause him and let's get to D Moon, what he was going to say.
Yeah, well, quickly before what I was going to get to what I was going to say, I will say that Fortnite, because we were talking about it a little bit right now, it's pretty smart on their end for them to release the cosmetics, because if you look at a lot of the streamers that like Ninja and shit, they always make fun of people that have like all the cosmetics, because it's like, oh, that's how you point out the noobs. It's like the people that suck at the game are going to be like, oh, well, I suck at the game, I might as well look good. So it's like, that's how I feel like they make like so much money.
Well, that's funny but the kids are opposite than that. Like my son goes, I look like a noob. I need to buy the new skin. Like I look like a noob, and then like I'll listen to them, and the kids will be making fun of the like him or like someone else, or like they'll just be making fun of each other.
Not included. It's disgusting, but it's like you said. You know, oh, you don't have this Pog. Oh, you don't have this Pokemon.
Oh my God, Pog.
You know, you don't have this. Like, you don't have the cool Metal Slammer.
But we didn't.
The thing they're doing now, too,
I don't think we did that though, Jake.
Live events.
I don't think we did that though at Pogs. With Pogs, I felt like, look at how cool I am that I have this. But you didn't really make fun of other people for it. But now, because they can see you, it's like they make fun of you. It's like different. You know what I'm saying?
I had some experiences with some kids. You know, if there was a few rich kids around, they would be like, "Oh, I've got the ultimate holding case that is, embroidered with Power Rangers." You know, shit like that. So there were some. It just depended on who you knew. But no, it wasn't as prevalent as it is today.
Kids are always competing, even clothes.
It's always going to happen. Yeah.
And it's just turned to a digital marketplace instead.
Yeah.
And now Fortnite.
Well, I told Gavin. Well, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Well, no, my nephew's done it to me when I'm sitting there playing the game, and he comes over, after he gets out from school, and he looks over and he goes, "Oh, we're going to play Fortnite?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Well, why are you still in the Raven costume? Why don't you go ahead and do this new costume?" I'm like, "Why can't I just be the fucking Raven costume because I like it, because it looks good?" No, you have to fucking have the new ones. It's like he wants me to go ahead and spend money to go ahead and do the new one. It's like, no, I want the one that makes me look cool as shit. You know, but
when Gavin says that he wants that stuff, I just go, "You want to not be a noob?" I'm like, "Dude, get 10 kills in a row and send it to your friends." And be like, I'm like, "Yeah, you paid to look cool. I actually am good."
Matter. It's a cool clip, but it's like I said, a sense of self-worth, being able to walk around with certain skins. It's mind-numbingly ridiculous, but it is. They hold each other to like a standard with these things.
It's like I wanted to tell him, I said, "Look, here's my John Wick costume. Shut the hell up. I'm playing."
Oh my God! You know how many times I've heard my son like scream like "John Wick again!" Like.
And like I said before, they added live events. The entire roster of Fortnite was not killing each other in game the other day because they were watching a rocket launch yesterday.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
you're right.
I didn't hear
Somebody
the end of that.
broke the kill streak, didn't they?
Yeah,
they used that to their advantage.
They went ahead and started murdering, but there was a huge countdown, and then all of the Fortnite players gathered near this big rocket to see what was going to happen, and then for minutes and minutes, no one was attacking each other. People built benches to give other players a better view, and it was incredible to see the afterfact. And it's hard to tell what happened in which order it says here. There was a series, the rocket took off, and then it fell into space, and then a laser fired at the ground, and it crashed back down, and all these things happened. But it was, every person could see it that was in the game at that point in time. You didn't, obviously it wasn't, it was server-based, so, no matter which lobby you were in, but you had to be in the game at that point in time to experience it. But this was just the first of many. And they're also going to, I guess, add at some point in times a DLC form of it. How? Well, you can only see the event if you're wearing said item.
It was funny to me where...
Oh, they have some of that in Warcraft.
And that's troubling. What was that?
Yeah, someone said they had like a 48 kill streak because they went ahead and killed everybody that was watching the rocket.
Yeah.
Because they built like all these towers and whatever so everyone could sit and watch. And then you get the one person that shot the whole damn thing down. And I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, that was Ninja, I think. The
whole damn fucking tower down and killed everybody.
I think it was Ninja that did it. Somebody had posted on Twitter.
They probably planned that with him.
KEEM or somebody, but I don't know who the fuck it was. But I thought it was fucking hilarious as hell because I've already seen it online. It's like, okay, I could just go watch it online from someone else. And then all of a sudden just watching someone kill like 50 people, half the freaking, people that drop into the fucking map. Watch it all die because they're all too busy watching the rocket.
That's hilarious.
Well, going back to the question that I was going to ask, Brian, Leah, and Jake, because you guys mentioned that Ocarina of Time was, your top favorite game of all time.
Is that
right?
really? Is that all your favorite? That's your top?
I
one?
wouldn't say that's one of.
Okay, all right.
I can't choose.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. Go ahead,
I would
Demon.
have multiples.
I just wanted
I
to
have
see
the
if.
top 5.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Demon.
I just wanted to make sure.
Go
Well,
ahead.
the thing is like I don't have Ocarina of Time on my top favorite, but I was gonna ask you guys, do you like it because like did you guys actually play it the day it was released, or did you like come across it like later on?
I got it for
It was
Christmas.
released. I had the golden cartridge.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
did I had it for Christmas, so.
Yeah, I was late to getting the N64, and then I discovered it sometime after that.
When
yeah,
did,
because I got into the Zelda series like really really late. So the first one I played was A Link to the Past, and that one to me like I don't know, like I kind of disagree with Jake. Like I think Ocarina of Time in a sense is kind of lenient because you couldn't do like anything whenever you wanted, like games like Breath of the Wild and Link to the Past.
No,
'cause,
no,
like,
certainly not. But
Right.
yeah,
I
but,
did.
like,
I did play A Link to the Past well before
Mhm.
Ocarina,
Yeah.
but I was younger. I mean, I think most of you. I think actually I'm the same age as Jake.
yeah.
Well, like I'm younger than Joe, younger than Himmelgod. So like,
Are you sure? I think I'm older than you.
I said, wait, did I say that wrong?
no,
No.
you didn't. He's
No,
Oh, you're just
Himmelgod's
fucking with
drunk.
me. All right.
Yeah, for me, when I played Ocarina before I played Link to the Past, so for me, that was, a whole different, that was like the first open world experience I had. So for me, that was ultimate freedom, being able to call, your horse and ride upon it around and change the weather and the time of day with your Ocarina. Like that was revolutionary in my mind. And things got better and you had more freedom in other games later on. But being able to just, I want to ride here. Oh, I want to go do this now. Oh, now I can go back. Oh, I can become a child again and then become an adult if I want to pull the sword out.
yeah.
Those things were unprecedented and never done before. I was never able to do that in a game. So that was just impossible to fathom in my mind that these were things that we could do now.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if I ruined it myself by playing like Link to the Past first before Ocarina of Time, because I know a lot of my friends like tell me like, oh yeah, Ocarina of Time is like the greatest one in the series. I'm like, I don't know, man, because like playing A Link to the Past, it's like that game really threw you in there with no direction whatsoever, and it's like what I really loved about it is like you can either go, there's like so many different ways you can play the game. Like you could do a certain dungeon first or another one and get like a certain item and do different things in different order, which is what I loved about it.
Because you are right. Ocarina of Time was linear. It was open world, but it was linear. You did have to complete things in a certain order. I think it's just like you said, it's a matter of preference because you played that one first and we played this one for, or at least
it's
I
just
played
like
this
Star
one
Trek, whichever
first.
Star Trek you saw first, you're like, that's
exactly.
the one.
So I mean, that's really what it comes down to is that you went backwards. So
yeah,
But I did
it's hard
play,
not to.
But I played A Link to the Past first.
Oh,
yeah, see, that's
right.
why
Maybe you just
like,
appreciated it better, Leah. You had something that clicked with you.
But
Did
I think
anybody
it was,
play Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think what it was too is like you were there for like the release the month of or whatever the release of Ocarina of Time, so it's like big hype for you guys. Maybe that could be it too. I don't know.
Did anybody play
Sorry.
the Link's Awakening?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't. I watched my friend play
I
through it, but
loved
I didn't
it.
play that one myself personally.
It was another one of those go from thing to thing type,
Yes.
like you this person to that person, whatever. I don't know. I loved it though. I ended up buying it again on my 3DS so I could play it again.
Did you
That's
ever
what I
play
like.
the Oracle Ages and Oracle Seasons?
Yeah, but so long ago.
Those are awesome. I love those
Yeah.
games too.
Yeah, D
I
Moon.
mean,
you
on my
like
top
the
list
rigid
here. Oh,
ones
sorry.
more.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was gonna say D Moon likes the rigid ones more. You guys kind of like the
Yeah, I
You guys-
I don't know what it is.
because they're more rigid, like grindy, but like the Ocarina of Time and those kind of have a little bit of a charm to them that's different. So like I don't know, it's something I noticed. And again, I didn't really play much of any of these. What I know of Ocarina is from my friend at the time that played it and what my son playing it. Like that's really I didn't play it. So I think when N64 came out, I think I've been over this. I hit original Nintendo, missed Super, missed 64, and was playing PlayStation and Sega CD and Sega Genesis.
So it was a less crucial time in your life. For me, 3 of my top favorite games are on the 64.
Yeah.
And I grew up. I had the original. I had Atari. My uncle had. He had all the games with it. So I started off playing video games. You know, I slid out and was like, all right, I'm a day old. Let's get on Tetris. You know, like we're coming for Pac-Man. We're coming for, you know, whatever I can get my hands on at that point. And I you know, whatever Asteroids on the Atari I loved. You know, Galaga, things like that. And then going forward.
You know what I liked
Sonic
then
and
is
Mario's and,
I got to tell you what I liked then. I'm not kidding about this. Like, we had a Tandy 1000, and we had.
Oh wow!
I don't remember which game it was, but it
I haven't heard of that in ages.
It's the one. It's the one where you hit the space bar a bunch, and you move the arrows on the right, left to right, and you shoot the missile or whatever, and all the spaceship aliens keep coming.
Asteroids?
Missile control.
It might have been missile control. It was
missile command. Missile command.
I have to look it up now, and I don't remember. But it's one of my earliest memories of video game because I was like 3 or 4, and probably 3. And it was like that's when I started playing on the computer, and like that was just put the floppy disk in and the green friggin' DOS screen. I mean, just
my god,
dude, I loved the Tandy had this joystick too, so it felt like futuristic. You know, you had this little joystick with a little red button on it. And
you know what was cool that I had was I had like a little arcade and it only played like one game. It was like one of those little mini arcade things. It was the screen
like
and the controller or whatever. It was Asteroids. But I had it was literally just that game. It wasn't a full-sized arcade. It was just like a little mini thing. But it was like I don't know, like the size of like a computer screen or something like that.
Yeah,
but
like a monitor.
Yeah.
Like the Rainbow Bright thing I showed you the other day, like the little mini.
Yeah, it was pretty.
thing.
Yeah, it was that.
Kind of size.
I got it. Yeah, I got it from I think it was my cousin who was huge into games, and yeah, we got that. That was fun. It was the stupidest thing too. It was like just dumb. You're just in the middle of the screen, like like you know, like. But it was like it was kind of cool having the machine though, right there.
Yeah, having your own essential console.
And
the best thing about Asteroids was the suicide runs. You know, where you just hold down the space bar to fire or whatever.
Just try to go forward,
and then you just hit the boost the whole time and see how long you could last. You know, that was a challenge.
Oh my god, I loved that.
We
for me it was the Atari 2600, which was the first thing for me. Because you know, my parents would bring home the first video game console we ever played, which was the Atari VCS back in the day. Yeah. Which was eventually known as the 2600. So we had the joystick with the one button, and you're just sitting there playing games like Pac-Man or Space Invaders and all that other shit. So I grew up on that stuff.
Pong.
And just moved on from there.
Yeah, and that's
fucking Pong.
Pong was even before, because Pong was just like that was all it was.
Yeah, Pong was before that.
You just plugged in Pong, and that was all there was.
That's all there was, dude.
But they one thing I wanted to say was going back to the games. Yeah, I mean, like one of the a few of those originals like Pac-Man's. I would say Pac-Man and Tetris because they can still hold my attention now. Some of the other ones don't always, but they still of course do. But people wanted to know because we talked about Zelda creeping our way up through the 80s and 90s. But what do we think about Mario? Is Mario on anybody's list? Any Marios on anybody's list?
I wish.
It's not on mine.
Not on my list, but
it is a notable entry because Mario 64. I spent hundreds of hours playing.
Oh my god! Yeah.
When I remember, we had a Toy Works next to my grandmother's job. Yeah, I had that was like before it was KB Toys. It was called Toy Works, and I went in there and I saw a demo, and I was just blown away by the look of the 3D 64-bit environment of Mario, being able to see his back. And, the double jump at that point, or triple jump, and they had like a little mini video that would play where you saw him like flying around in different, different environments and jumping through the paintings. It was, my brain practically leaked out of my ear when I saw this. I remember being like, oh my God, like freaking out and driving my grandmother nuts.
But was this anybody's favorite game? Like, was this like your favorite game? Because I mean, like, to me, like, I'll tell you, I do like Mario. Like, it's one of the more, because in my mind, I need to pick a classic game that I really could play now. And I would put on my top 10. I would somewhere, maybe 10 or 9. I would actually put, even though I think, I mean, it probably would be like Super Mario Brothers 3, but like Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3, even though I love the original, like if you told me like right now I could play one, like 2 was so weird that I like love it. It's so bizarre.
Freaky.
I like Super Mario World.
Yeah, I was gonna say that right now.
Yeah, see, by then I was
Super Nintendo.
By that time I was like, I had I was playing other games. I was playing like Sega Genesis games.
Genesis,
right.
Yeah.
I had Genesis too. I played the crap out of Echo. Remember Echo?
Oh,
Echo
I
the
hated
Dolphin.
that game.
Echo the Dolphin.
The Dolphin.
The Dolphin.
I think it was the Tides of Time or something like that is the one I played. And you eventually get to this part. You get to this part where like the dolphins have these like wings and they can fly and shit. Like this is wild. Oh, and I remember like it scared the shit out of me too, because at one point I hate when shit pops up in my face, like on games, movies, whatever. I hate that. It scares the shit out of me. But I'm like, you're like in this giant open blue place, and I'm like, where the fuck am I? And I'm like swimming, and then a fucking blue whale just like shoots up like the whole face, and it's like, hey, and it's like, oh my god, what the fuck?
My fiance Courtney, her favorite game of all time is the very first Mario. And I actually watched her not long ago play an emulated version of it, and she sat here and she beat the entire thing with one life. And she just remembered, it was all muscle memory for her. Like she just knew where to jump, what to do. It was amazing to watch. I was blown away by her.
Yeah, I bet. Holy cow.
I want to say it was that game that my brother was really good friends with the kid that held the record, or may even still hold the record for the speed run on that game.
Wow.
I think it was.
Seeing her get that one-up life, and she's like, free man! You know, all this, like, her own lingo. Here's my...
Not like I need it!
Did anybody ever have or remember the Sega Channel?
Yeah, yes. I remember that.
This was so obscure. Like, a lot of people don't seem to remember this, but... You know, I
didn't have it, but I remember it. I don't have it.
The Sega Genesis, I remember they had it.
Yeah, it was so new for its time. My grandmother hated the fact that I was good at games. She wishes I was dumb because she tried, you know, she worked her ass off, and she did spoil me in that sense with, you know, what she could do. So I rented a lot of games from Blockbuster and whatnot. But even that was expensive then, you know, and I would beat things too quickly. I remember she bought me something new at the time. I think it was like Earthworm Jim or something along the lines of that.
Oh, I love that.
And
that's awesome.
I wanted that game so badly, and as hard as it was, I beat it. And she was like, "It's 2 days later. You know, you just bought this." There wasn't really a GameStop to trade games in at that point. You know, so the Sega Channel came out, and it was only $15 a month. I think you had to pay like $25 to activate it.
Yeah.
But it was its own form of Xbox Live. It had a coax TV, you know, cable that you would plug into the side of your console with a game cartridge that went in, and it had like 4 megabytes of RAM. You know, and this 9-pin port. Yeah, you know, this 9-pin port would go in there, and it would download the games in a few minutes through cable wire, and it was just unheard of at that time. But it gave you access to like. I don't even know how many games at the time. I think it was like 30 games a month, something like that. But it was great because I didn't have to go ahead and spend money on new titles. And, you know, that would later become Xbox Live and PlayStation
It's pretty
Network.
crazy because it's the first on-demand, like, whatever, like playing streaming online. Like, it's crazy. Like, that's way, like, it's so bad. It's so much that I didn't remember that. When I heard about the Sega Channel, I just thought it was like it's gonna be like a TV show or something.
TV channel,
I don't even know. Like I always get called spoiled by Leah, but like my mother wouldn't let me get it, so like I didn't get it. Never had it. But you know, I was more into like Sega CD, and dude, one of the games that I loved playing the hell out of was Lethal Enforcers. Lethal Enforcers was the balls. Like I love that.
Remember Sewer Shark as well?
Yeah,
Sewer Shark was great. I love
such a simple game, but 9 or 6, 9er, you know. Come on, Flyboy, you know.
But dude, one of the best. Like if you want to get into like, if I could, I'll tell you one of my favorite games of all time was definitely that Metal Gear series, like Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2. Like I just love those two games.
Metal Gear
the original ones for the NES, are you talking about? Or
I'm talking about, the original one, because I played the hell out of both of them, but I loved Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PlayStation.
The PlayStation? Yeah, Metal Gear Solid, the first one, I remember came as a demo pack with like Crash Bandicoot and all these other games. And when I had gotten the PlayStation, I didn't know it didn't come with any games. And so I had that demo disc, and I played that thing for like a month religiously. So when I finally did get to borrow Metal Gear
demo
from my
disc.
friend. Yeah, the days
I played it on the demo disc too.
Oh, the days of the demos.
I've got 30 demo discs
nowadays.
I got 30 demo discs for Xbox One, the original Xbox upstairs.
I had a ton for the
OXM magazine would send in the mail. It was like Christmas.
Yeah, that stuff was great.
I played that till I memorized like the enemy routes and everything. When I finally got to play that game, and the story was so just out there. Love the Metal Gear games. That should be on my list, but
it's just outside my top 5 would be Metal Gear Solid, and I'm like, holy fuck. That was such a great game for me, dude. I mean, some people might say, "Oh, that was a little too easy compared to some of the other games," but I'm sorry, that original blew me away, especially when you get to Psycho Mantis. And
oh my god!
Where's your fucking controller, bitch?
It used to read, Psycho Mantis would read things off your memory card and screw with you. And
yeah, that was the crazy.
If you had a Konami game on your memory card, you would read them off. And I'm like, oh shit.
That was another one of those games where it felt like you were in a world. You were in a place, kind of like how Ocarina was in a way.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Okay.
Yeah. Well, here's if I give you a description, I'm sure Joe could give us the game's name, and and if you talk about a first-person shooter that made people feel like, oh my god, it's actually the first time you can play a shooter on a console, and the graphics are incredible, and the campaign was very noteworthy. What game would I be talking about?
You're talking about GoldenEye. I'm just kidding. You're talking about Halo, I think.
I'm talking about GoldenEye as well. And that's the thing.
GoldenEye and Halo comes to mind on both of those.
Exactly, and they're both on my list. And I was like, that's essentially could be one entry.
But it's not on my list. GoldenEye ain't on my list.
No, it's not on your list.
I'll tell you, only because I didn't really play it that much. But when I did, I played it for a few weeks, like every day with my friend while I was at his N64, but I didn't have N64, so once I left him.
That's true too.
But I agree, it's the top. Yeah, it's definitely the top 10 game of all time somewhere. But or somewhere in there. But to me, it wasn't one of my personal top games.
Both GoldenEye 64 and Halo, hand in hand, did what no other game really could. They took They took everything the PC had built and made a powerhouse out of and shrunk it into console form. And that just was impossible and unheard of at that point. And that's why these are my favorites. GoldenEye's campaign, unbelievably great. It made you feel like you're playing as James Bond, just like Halo made you feel like you are the Master Chief. Yes. And when something does that, when it suspends your disbelief to that point where you feel like you are the character, then, it's something special.
Yeah, to me, my list is really weird, of games. If I had to make a list of games, that I would play, and I know that I think we'll talk a little bit more about Halo and maybe more about. I mean, GoldenEye is clearly everyone's is that on everybody's list here? Besides, because again, like I said, it's not on mine, but it is. I know it's one of the all-time games, but it's just not on my list.
It depends on how far deep we're going, because I have a top 10. And GoldenEye is on my top 10.
Yeah. See, so I would consider that right there as well. And my God, the amount of Saturdays wasted. I had a kind of stepfather-like figure, and I would go to his house and his two kids, and we'd have 4 controllers plugged into the 64, and we would play from morning. So we had this 40-year-old guy, his 2 kids, and myself, and we would all take turns with the neighbors coming over and everything. We'd do 2-on-2 teams all day till the 64 overheated. We'd play.
I gotta tell you, dude. I know we're going back. I know I'm going backwards, but with Tetris, I will never ever forget seeing Tetris on a Game Boy. When Tetris was on Game Boy, that seemed like the most amazing thing to me. I was just like, that is awesome. Or the original Tetris on whatever it was, Nintendo. Just I'm telling you, dude, that game, I was obsessed with that thing.
It's funny that Tetris is still around today at this point. It's. They're doing one now for PlayStation VR to have freaking Tetris.
Yeah,
and it's just amazing the staying power that a game so simplistic has to this point today. So
and all the spawns off of it too, all the weird jewel drop and it's inspired a million things and ripped off. Those are all the games that are working on phones. I'm sure I can probably download Tetris on my phone. In fact, I'm going to do it now because I'm thinking about it.
I play Luminous right now, and it's I just think of Tetris half the time.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's Dr. Mario. I mean, obviously, that was so good too. And it all comes from Tetris. But yeah. So I mean, what's Leah? So your favorite game was Ocarina, you said, right? So wow, you came to the conclusion that World of Warcraft would probably be.
Yeah, I mean, it's because even when it comes down to Zelda, it's even then it's kind of hard to pick a favorite because honestly, I love Breath of the Wild, that. Out of all the Zelda games, since Ocarina of Time, I've been waiting for one that's made me feel the same way as Ocarina of Time, and that was Breath of the Wild. So, yeah, there's I don't know, but I guess if for replay value and stuff like that, it would have to be WoW.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's
Because
World
I
of
mean,
Warcraft.
there's new expansions coming out. They're even going to put they're bringing back vanilla, so we're going to be able to go back and play how it was back in the day.
Yeah, and they're
fun too.
doing it like you said, exactly that. They're bringing back and reverting the changes, so you're going to play it exactly how it was in that time. It's not updated. You're going to have the choice to as if it was 2000 whatever all over again.
Yeah, I guess that's been the tough part for them.
2004 or 6.
I guess I'm expecting there to be some changes because they said they have been like sort of like weeding out like what do we take out, what do we keep in that's actually was beneficial, which was like like things like that. But I guess for the most part it is going to be like vanilla WoW, so like I'm excited for that. But that's why it's like fun. That's why Warcraft's fun. I mean, we're on like the 1,000,000th expansion at this point, coming out in November. But it's still, I mean, a lot of it's been almost like made a lot of it's been changed, and it's to draw new people in, and it's like obvious. But so it's like fun that they're bringing back vanilla, which would be how it was again. But there's just always stuff to do. There's endless stuff to do all the time.
Yeah,
There's always
they've
stuff to
upgraded it for
improve
12
upon.
years.
Yeah,
or
but I mean,
more.
even your character, it's like I have a pretty high. They go by item level. I have a pretty high item level character, but there's still room for improvement. I mean, I'm sure there's a maximum that you can reach, but there's still, even then, there's some randomness to some things that you can get. So I mean, some people may have better items than other whatever. It depends also like on how you make up your character. Like there's room there to change how you do things. Like there's no one set specific way of doing something. Like for example, my character, there's a lot of debate over 2 different stats on what to use. So it's like you kind of like left up to like experimenting with both of them and figuring out which you like better. So I mean, there's like a lot of options and a lot of different things you can do, and then if you take away all the combat and everything like that, there's also like achievements and like fun little things and collecting things to like there's Easter eggs all over the damn game and stuff. So and there's PvP. I can play PvE, or I can go do PvP. So it's like you get all these different options.
Well, let's
it's whatever that keeps you playing that really, when you look at it in the long run, if it keeps you playing that game for hours upon hours upon hours at a time, that's a good thing right there. And then it benefits those companies in the long run. So
what about
the stories and the lore are really good too.
Somebody said Oregon Trail in the chat just now.
Well, we're all of the age here that we had the Macintosh computers and times of no internet and whatnot, where the Oregon Trail and Mavis Beacon were a thing, and
Oregon Trail, holy cow.
Mavis Beacon typing, teaching, whatever. We had those bugs on that windshield and we wanted to crash that car. But
yeah, that stuff was awesome. I mean, it's not all time. I mean, Oregon Trail could be arguable for some people. I bet it is some people's all time favorite game in a way. But yeah, I mean, there's only a limit to it. It's more of a nostalgic act, I think. But it was still good, and that was a good game. But let's move to, well, I don't know. I mean, it's up to D-Moon. Was there something what's your favorite game of all time, or maybe that was Zelda? I forget now.
No, it wasn't Zelda. I mean, it's up there, but my favorite video game of all time would probably have to be Kingdom Hearts. And I think had it not been for the release of this series, it probably would have been Final Fantasy VII. But I think because when Final Fantasy VII came out, that to me was like my favorite game for the longest time. And I remember playing it for hours and hours because there's so much to do in that game. But I mean, it was linear in a sense. So like, that's why I would go back to like, Zelda and all that stuff. But yeah, that game to me like introduced me to like RPGs and like, the whole turn-based games. And like, surely after that, I started playing games like Pokemon and all that stuff. But
what did you say about me? Did you say you liked Final Fantasy also?
Yeah, it's in my top. It's in my top 5. Final Fantasy VII specifically.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's the story in that game was so fucking awesome, and it's like, for the PlayStation day, for it to do like all the stuff that it did, like I'm not too sure, but I think it was one of the first games to have like all the cut animations and stuff like that. For the PlayStation.
It had 4 discs to it as well.
Yeah, it had 3 discs.
Like
3 discs.
on PlayStation.
Yeah, And
Yeah,
so
that had a
like
lot of
that,
shit.
I mean, it was just so much stuff, at least to me, that was introduced. Like exactly like what Jake said, you know, the 3-disc, you know, stuff. And yeah, I mean, that game for the longest time was my favorite. But then, you know, Kingdom Hearts came out, and as a kid growing up, you know, I mean, I don't want to sound like the, like, you know, little fruitcake or whatever, but I used to watch a lot of Disney movies with, like, you know, my sister and my brothers and stuff like that. So, you know, playing video games and watching movies like that was always like a common lore. And when Kingdom Hearts came out, it integrated two of my favorite things that I like to do, like watch Disney movies and then like Final Fantasy characters that, you know, were introduced in the same game. And it was just like, what the hell, dude?
So you're like super excited after this E3.
Yeah,
You're
it's like,
ready to go.
you know, God answered my prayers. Just like, what the fuck? Like Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters in the same game.
But I'm talking about after this E3. Like you're like, how excited?
Oh
are you now?
yeah, dude.
D-Moon went to
15
the
years.
symphony for the unveiling of parts
Yeah.
of Kingdom Hearts 3 that they had.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
that's how
So-
hardcore of a fan I am. Like I've been to
which
like,
is awesome.
He was
you know?
hiding it from
Zelda.
us.
Yeah, I've been to like, you know, Zelda symphonies and all that, which were really good. I personally think the Zelda ones are better. But yeah, I
The
went to
score
the
is a
symphony.
little bit better for Zelda, so that's
Yeah,
kind of hard
yeah.
to
Yeah.
compare. But
Of course. But yeah, dude, like, I mean, you know, back when it came out in 2002, I was just like, oh my God. And I remember my neighbor had it for the first time, and I used to go over his house all the time to play it. And then, like, you know, eventually my parents ended up getting it for me. And it was, to me, it was like the first time I was introduced to real-time action RPG, you know, where it's like, it wasn't turn-based, but you could still, like, customize your characters to, like,
Yes.
have certain abilities and stuff like that. That was the first time I was introduced to that. So, like, I mean, I don't know, man. It was just the story, like how this kid would just go into, like, you know, Disney worlds, and it would follow the lore of the Disney movies, but like have a twist on it. And it was just, to me, like, that was just like, holy shit, this game was the shit. And then of course the series would then on continue with like the second game, and then like the side stories or whatever, the side games, and then of course all the way to now, you know, Kingdom Hearts 3, which is coming out next year. I mean, we've been waiting 15 years for this game to come out.
Yeah, this is wild.
And I am
dude.
just like, holy shit, like we're finally getting it. From everything we've seen so far, I'm like beyond hyped. So I mean, yeah, like
it does look very interesting, and especially the way they're implementing so many of the worlds that, you know, are just favorites for fans. You know,
exactly.
each one could be its own game essentially.
Exactly. And yeah, from like what they're saying in this new one, like, you know, they're not going to have as many worlds as I think the second one. I think the second one holds the most worlds up to date.
Right.
It's like 12 worlds, I believe. But in this one, they said that despite the fact that they're not going to have as many worlds as the other games, they are going to be massively huge. And, you know, they're going to, you know, remove some stuff. I don't know. Like, it to me, it's like, I'm just excited. 15 years. I mean, it just
I can't
looks like
believe
it's
that.
well worth the wait.
I didn't play
15
it.
years, man.
I didn't play it that much, but I knew people that loved it, and I just never. I might like it. I just didn't. It wasn't one of my things. But when I saw that it was at E3, I was like, wow, like that's some crazy stuff.
And
dude.
and Xbox, you know, for the first time. I'll go ahead and
Oh, my bad. Hold on.
FYI, thanks for taking NY audience.
You're welcome, Steven. I'm going to play a bunch of donations now and get to see what you guys are saying about games and what your favorite games are. But Demon, what were you going to say real quick? Xbox?
Oh, yeah, but Xbox, you know, they played a well card, you know, like for the first time it's coming to Xbox, because it was always a PlayStation exclusive. And, you know, for them to get a trailer out on their conference, I was just like, holy shit, man.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's not. Is it not on PlayStation?
Yeah, it's still going
It
to be
will
on
be, but
PlayStation.
it's going to be multi-console.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Platform.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah,
maybe.
You think too? I never watched Disney movies until my daughter was born, so it makes sense.
Oh shit! I haven't heard this information in a long
Oh
time.
my god, I love Seth Rollins.
Wow, this is a big donation.
That's lit.
Hey Joe, Jake, Leah, HIMMELCHAMP, DMOON. Sorry, I haven't been around past few days. My stupid BF thought it would be funny to change the passwords on my social media then delete it all. Asshole lol.
Oh my god! Like,
What a dick!
you should probably throw him out a window. If that's crazy. Cassie Lynn, thank you for the
That's awesome. It just
$25.
spelled out my name. That's like, thank you.
Himmel champ, Himmel God. Cassie, thank you for the $25.
Super chat.
Wow,
Party.
wow,
Oh,
Cassie
glorious.
Lynn.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, 2, 3,
yeah.
4 are the best.
Yeah,
That's one of those games that I played on the demo a ton. Like there was like that one,
Yeah.
like the skate park one.
Yeah.
And not the skate park. It was like an indoor or whatever skate park.
Was it on
thing.
the original PlayStation? Because I remember that demo. That was so whacked out.
That was awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that was fun. That original demo on PlayStation.
And then they made it again for 360, where they brought back all the original songs and just threw 3 back in there again. So I thought that was really cool.
Oh my god, yeah, the songs.
Oh shit, the game was so good.
Super Chat Party.
Joe, like I said, I'm awesome.
All right. Steven German. That's his favorite game. Is himself. Thank you for the $2.
And he plays it constantly.
So when he plays with himself.
Well, that's no one's favorite game.
Nope.
Even he don't even like that. Steven, thanks for the $2.
You can never
man.
conquer the boss. You know,
Happy Canada Day, by the way, everybody who's Canadian. What's up to Canada? It's Canada Day.
Canadian Basement, the Sarah Cardinal, yeah, they're all from Canada.
Yeah. Canadian Basements from Canada?
Yeah.
Super
I didn't know that.
Party.
VR solos are great. Girls talk to you, kiss you, etc.
Oh, yeah.
Is that cheating, Leah? German should try it, lol.
Terminator, thanks for the $5.
Yeah, that's a whole
Say
conversation.
German needs vagina hero or something, or what?
Hey,
I know
he's
you're kind of
Canadian,
arguing
too.
semantics there, but that's a whole nother thing when you think about it. VR in the future and relationship VR games and stuff like
We
that.
talked about it the other night.
Yeah, you know, you guys touched upon a lot of things, but it's so crazy to think where things can go.
Pay $10 to find my G-spot.
Super Mario World is my favorite game of all time, such a classic, especially with the ROM. Hack community giving new life to the game for nearly 15 years, which is also one of the reasons we got Super Mario Maker on the Wii U.
I was about to mention Super Mario Maker.
Yeah, that must have been fun. I never played that, but man, years ago I would have like drooled over playing Super Mario Maker.
I'd love to see it for the Switch.
Yeah.
ShiBUM.
My favorite was the first Dune released on PC back in 1992.
Oh my god.
It was the first CD-ROM game one ever played.
Was that
And
Sierra?
even still play through it every few years.
I think so.
One of the best game soundtracks ever released. I even read all the books because of it.
I loved Paige's butt plug. Thanks for the $5. Yeah, I loved Dune. I loved the one of the games that I really loved on computer. I mean, was like Doom and dude. I forgot this, but I would put this on my top 10 just because personally it was like one of my favorite things. Was Wolfenstein 3D. I loved Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh yeah.
Wolfenstein. Oh my god.
Not the new ones, obviously, but yeah, the old Wolfenstein on the. We had it on the Mac back in like '95 or something.
So good.
Maybe '96. I don't remember what year it was now.
You know, he mentioned reading the books or whatever too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like like a game has like a good story if you do that. I've done it twice now. I did it with Dragon Age and the Witcher series.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say Witcher.
Yeah, I read all of them. It's great.
Does Myst have books? Because I loved Myst. I loved Myst. And Descent.
I mean, you'd be surprised. A lot of games end up having books that go along with them, whether they're good or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Halo had a great series of novels.
Yeah, they did.
Halo
And Warcraft has a ton too, but I've never read them because they're kind of like discombobulated. Like, there's no like real set order to read some. You know, sometimes they do that, so there's like no real set order to read the stuff in.
Yeah.
But
Man.
But yeah, like with The Witcher, all the books were out. Almost all the books were out before the games came out, and that's what the games are based off of. Was the series, and the games pick up where the series leaves off. So it's like you end up playing the game, and you're like, "This is sick," and you're like, "I want to know more." So then you go back, and you're like basically reading the past.
Right.
But it's still like they were awesome. They were wicked good.
Yeah.
I wish I can remember. I'm trying to look it up, and I can't. Maybe you guys can help me. But it was a text game, but it was almost like Dungeons and Dragons. But you know, it was all sprawling text, and it was a computer game. I played it probably 93 or 94, and you'd have to advance. It's like, oh, you walk into a dungeon. There's 3 doors in front of you. What do you do? And you had to enter.
Oh,
like, go left, go right.
I remember a game like that. It was like a DOS game or something like that, and
yeah,
you had to like break
very
a
popular
pumpkin to
one.
like get a key, and then you take the key up to the door.
there were so many elements to it. It went on.
And then you get all into the
deal.
and you're like in some fucked up house, and you get to the basements, and the bats would fuck you up.
Yeah. I remember that one as well.
Back on like the old days, like Atari, or not Atari, but like Apple II or something like that. You know, I'm thinking of that movie Big or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I was just watching. I tweeted out that Triumph of the Nerds documentary on Twitter, and like that just makes me think of how crazy it is that we got what we got with computers. Someone said Diablo's up there. Diablo is definitely up there for me. Like, I love Diablo. The first Diablo, I really liked it, but when Diablo 2 came out, I was like, just, oh my god, was I obsessed with Diablo 2. And it was the only thing that got me away from Halo 2, you know, like, or Halo 1. I would take breaks from that to go back to Diablo. But now I really do love Diablo 3. So yeah, Diablo is on my probably top 5, top 10 games of all time for me. Like, that's just
Diablo 2 is amazing.
What, Himmel?
I'm playing that right now on PS4 is Diablo 3.
Oh yeah. So like
into that shit.
And the console port is a lot of fun. The way they managed to do it and handle it, I was like, how is this going to work on a console? And they did a great job.
It's pretty cool, and it looks really nice on the consoles too. But you know, I can't play it not on a PC. It's just I can't.
I prefer it on PC too. I mean, you're spoiled in that sense, but it's still fun to play on console. I'll give them that much.
Well, now I don't want to do it because like all my stuff's on PCs. So
that was my thing. I was like, if you could transfer, then I would only play it on console at this point.
Oh well,
because I have more. Not only, but I would play it more regularly on console.
Yeah,
because I would have other friends there, and it would be.
We'd be able to party up for sure. We'd be able to party up.
PC doesn't always cooperate, and that's part of the problem nowadays. I would play more PC gaming, but it's so expensive for the most part. And I know you can get away with some things for a cheaper build, but ideally, it's pretty costly.
I again, like on my top 10 would be, and I know we talked about Command and Conquer, but yeah, for me, like I love Command and Conquer. I would put on my top 10 as well. So like I'm really weird. It's really weird because I feel like I'm not much of a PC gamer anymore, but like the 90s, like that was a big thing, like Doom and Wolfenstein and Command and Conquer.
Doom. My uncle worked for IBM, and he did a lot of like IT support for them. So he built me a janky piece of crap computer, and it didn't even have a disk drive, like a floppy disk drive, never mind an actual CD-ROM drive. Yeah, and I remember him coming over like a year later after he gave me the computer to give me a CD-ROM drive that was external. It was the loudest thing in the world. It vibrated and moved across the desk when it was reading CDs. Like it would shake. It was probably the size of half of a PC tower now. Like
When was this? Were they making their own? Because I remember for a while IBM would just put other people's stuff together.
It was their own IBM disk drive, and he went ahead and he got me into PC gaming that way. I had a joystick, so I started off with. Like you said, Wolfenstein, things like that, and I played tons of Doom flight simulators. I loved some of the Windows flight simulators; those were great. And then I got into there was a few different Star Wars games that had come out, and those were fun to play. Like TIE Fighter was really good.
Oh my god, TIE Fighter!
And then Command and Conquer just sunk its teeth into me, and I loved the original. Then Red Alert came out, and then years later. I forget what the base game was called, but the expansion was called Yuri's Revenge.
Yeah.
And that's on my favorites list here. That's on my top 5.
I really liked Command and Conquer Red Alert 1 and 2. Those are my favorites. 1 and 2.
I remember that.
I do have all
Yuri's Revenge. I kicked my mother off her computer in high school so that my friend could play. I went to Best Buy. We bought multiple copies of the game, and I installed them on every computer we can get our hands onto, so we could do like LAN parties and stuff.
That was the first time you could do that.
Yeah, I had that old shitty desktop, and I had borrowed a laptop from a friend, so friends could come over and do like nerded out LAN parties to play Command and Conquer together. And the 3 or 4 of us would go ahead and go online with the shittiest dial-up ever. And just wreck people's shop. It was great. But that game, the strategies that you can come up with and plans and the text chat, it had its own community. It was just so much fun.
I think EA owns it, so it's
now. Well, like we said, that's what we started off before saying.
Yeah, that's right.
They're making it a mobile game,
but
it's terrible.
It's strictly a revenue stream for them, and that's what's so. And I saw some more behind the scenes things.
You gotta download Origin.
What they're doing. Oh, it's so disheartening. I mean, literally, you can start building your base, and then if you don't have enough credits, you can't even make soldiers and stuff.
Oh, that's ridiculous. See, that's not even the game anymore. That's just stupid.
Launch a nuke to go ahead and destroy someone else's base. I'm like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. I mean, they sat there during their press conference, bringing out 2 freaking esports players of mobile games.
But these guys were RTS champions.
Yeah.
These were former real-time strategy champions. One guy was an RTS world #1 ranked player from like 10 years ago. And they bring him out to go click, click, click on a freaking iPhone. It's like, what the fuck? How do you do? It was so bad.
Hey, I found that game I was talking about earlier.
Oh,
what was the name of it?
Okay.
Hugo's House of Horrors.
Oh yes, that's it.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Wow.
I know the Angry Video Game Nerd covered the other one Rose had said as well that I was speaking of it first, the text chat one, but yeah, the House of Horrors. Hugo.
Oh my god. Angry Video Game Nerd. That I was watching it, or Joe put it on the other day, and it just started playing, and he brought up this game that I had never heard of on Dreamcast called Seaman.
I know that game.
Oh my god, though, the video,
but still.
the review he does for this, I was dying. It was so funny. You have to go look it up. Look
that
up,
is really funny.
I wish I could remember the name of the I wish I could remember the exact name of the video he does that in, but because I think he does 1 or 2 other games in the same video, but oh my god, it's so funny.
Yeah, you watch that, and what was it? Leonard Nimoy plays the Seaman character.
No, he narrates the he like talks to you, like he's not the voice of the character, but like the seaman thing is like wicked condescending, is like a piece of shit asshole to you. Treats you like shit. It's so funny. It's like this one part. It's like a fish with like a face. And it's got like this weird. It's like this weird. It's like a weird, like a dude face, but it's like a face on a fish. The rest of the body is like a fish, and it talks to you. But they all look the same. So there's like a couple of them in the tank, and they all look the same. And then to procreate, they breed with each other.
Yeah.
And they're like looking at the screen.
Bigger, and it can take up your whole screen.
Yeah, but the whole staring at the screen as it does it, and they tell you too. The seaman will wait until you're there, and so you'll be there to watch.
It's like your whole two-sided and you're shooting out your dick. It's like, here's your semen you're shooting out.
Oh my god.
Then it not only consumes your screen by growing and growing, but then they go ahead and it's almost like it knew time-based wise, like how it would grow as time went on. But it was like a Tamagotchi.
You couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't cheat. You couldn't go backwards. I believe you could go forwards though, but not backwards.
yeah. Backwards.
That's weird.
Oh, so funny.
Hey, Rose Gaming says they say fuck in it too, like there's something.
That was the before it says fuck. It says fuck. It says fuck.
You needed a microphone to freaking talk to it and shit.
Yeah.
Or you had to hook up a microphone to your controller to just talk to it.
Yeah, to progress through the game, you'd have to answer like millions of dumb questions, and they're like, these are questions that nowadays, if you were asked these questions, you'd be like, you're stealing my fucking identity. Like, I know you are. Like, you'd never be able to do this on like a real game. But yeah, they'd ask you like all this weird shit and like about your parents and stuff like that, and it would like help. I'm not joking. Go watch the video. It's weird.
I think I did see the review of it by the Video Game Nerd.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised that Leah mentioned that. That's it. From now on, I'll monetize this. I'm just giving points to Leah. That's it.
She got you there. The Dreamcast was so ahead of its time. Like, when you think of consoles ahead of their time, they wanted to go ahead and do so much and accomplish so little. They had their own online service before anybody else truly had, their keyboard, their the memory card slot had like a screen on the actual memory cards.
You had the keyboard and mouse.
Yep.
And then they had SegaNet, and I remember that because they used to charge people for freaking SegaNet around the time when Phantasy Star Online was out.
Yes.
And they gave it to me for free, dude. I was playing fucking SegaNet for fucking free. I'm Like, they never fucking charged me through the whole time I was playing that fucking game.
You know, Gates did
awesome.
his classic swoop in and take it, because it's like Sega threw all the stuff at the wall, and then Xbox picked the stuff that they thought was going to work and then did it better. It was the weirdest thing.
It is.
It was weird, man, what they did. They had a good idea. Like Crazy Taxi was great. I wasn't Driver was PlayStation, right? Like it wasn't on.
Yeah, Driver was
Yeah.
PlayStation.
Yeah,
With the
Driver
worst
was
tutorial
good.
level in history of gaming.
Oh my god, yes.
You had 60 seconds to complete that checklist. I remember I got that for my birthday, and I was like, I couldn't do one of the maneuvers, and I was like, yep, not playing this anymore. Like, it infuriated me. I was so angry.
I did about half of them, and I'm like, fuck this game. I'm like,
It's like, do a burnout, do a 360, get around the pillars, all this stuff. And it was like, oh, by the way, if you mess up a millisecond, you got to restart. Forget it.
One of my top 20s would
Superman
be
64 for the PlayStation.
A buddy of mine loves
What was
Superman, the same guy that used to play Command and Conquer. He was so excited for that game. He got it, and he kept trying to convince himself it's a good game. He's like, no, really, it's fun. I'm like, how is this fun? You're flying through a bunch of stupid rings. He's like, no, really, it's good, I swear. I was like, when do you punch somebody? He's like, I could pick up a car. I'm like,
I like the Nintendo one better than that one.
Oh yeah, at least that was a real game. Superman 64 was nothing but a cash grab. They took the Superman license because the cartoon was really popular, like Fox,
so bad.
They
Fox
ET'd it.
Kids, and
No. I love Toe Jam and Earl, man. That was like one of my favorite games too.
Oh man.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Shit, Toe Jam and Earl.
The first one, the second one was kind of just like a lot of things were like that, but the first one was so damn good to me. I love that game.
Toe Jam and Earl was great.
To me, it was like the perfect stoner game.
Yeah, yeah. Just find these parts.
Oh my god, dude! I remember that game. It's sad. I got the Sega Genesis collection on Xbox and PlayStation right now.
Yeah.
And the first game I jumped to was Toe Jam and Earl. And I'm like,
Yeah, dude. I've got the Game Genie
though.
though.
I'm playing this, and I'm like,
You gotta play it with Game Genie because I've got the Game Genie version. I've got Game Genie still,
shit.
so I can still plug the cartridge into the Sega and get all the stuff. You know, like and just do all the weird stuff, like whenever you open a present or whatever, like your whatever you get, it doesn't end, like it doesn't, or you can just trigger whatever. It's just hilarious.
Remember Golden
I love
Axe?
that game.
Oh yeah, Golden
I
Axe.
remember
Yeah.
that.
The side-scrolling smasher where you get to pick like one of 3 characters, and Golden Axe 2 as well. Those were great.
Oh,
I didn't have the first Battletoads, but I had Battletoads versus Double Dragon. That game was so hard, but so fun.
Shit.
I like those two. Yeah, and Double Dragon 2 was. I really played Double Dragon 2. I played the shit out of that. And what was the other one? Damn it, there was one other one. I'm forgetting now that somebody brought it up earlier. Now I forget, but it'll come to me later, I guess. But
You don't think of it.
Well, Jake, let me ask you this question: did you mark the fuck out when you heard about Battletoads coming to Xbox One?
Yeah. Bringing back Rash and Pimple, and I'm excited. I really like those games. Like I said, I later went back and played the Battletoads, and it was great. But at the time, I only had, like I said, the one with Double Dragon. And that was so much fun. It was so hard. My buddy and I, would countless sleepovers trying to beat that game.
Mortal
I didn't
Kombat
actually
1,
beat
2,
that
and 3,
until
man.
like my teen years.
All the Mortal Kombats came up to me too, like 1, 2, and 3, like all those first Mortal Kombats.
Mortal Kombats were great.
I mean,
I remember learning one of the fatalities, and when my grandmother still worked in the bowling alley, when I was rather young, I used to beat like all the older adults and stuff like that in Mortal Kombat there, and they would gather around to watch the fatalities, and we'd print out like the sheets to learn the cheats and stuff like that.
Oh my god, dude, that was fucking everywhere.
Yeah. It was like a secret network.
I remember back in the original, like if you go back to the very first Mortal Kombat, and it was one of my friends that took me to an arcade. It was called Bigfoot's Arcade down in South Florida. And we were there at that arcade, and all these people would be playing Mortal Kombat, and I started to learn how to play, and I learned my first fatality, which was Sub-Zero's fatality, where he rips your head and your freaking spine out and shows it in front of
holds it
everybody.
up, yeah.
And I was able to do that, and I swear to God, this was my first ever time playing. I did it with a double flawless and did the fucking fatality.
Oh, nice.
And people looked at me like I was a fucking pro. I'm like, dude, this is my first time playing. They're like, bullshit.
I'm just lucky. Yeah,
I
people
played-
would gather around, and it was like I said, like a secret network. Like somebody would come over and be like, "Oh, I know how to do, Liu Kang's, bicycle kick." You just do, and eventually we had like the full sheet of, input commands, and it was great. Everybody, it was like coveted. Everybody would, it was the holy Bible for Mortal Kombat.
I never
Things like
stood a
that.
chance in that
Come in
game.
there with like a full book.
Yeah,
Dude, I played
everything,
my-
and supposedly had secrets of how to do shit that still nobody to this day knows how to fucking do.
Dude, I played my Asian friends in that game. Like I went to I was in gymnastics at the time, and I was in there with these couple of Asian kids I was friends with. I go over their house, they're brothers. Dude, they'd beat the shit out of me in that game. Like they would beat the shit out of me. Like
Oh my god!
I love playing it still, but it was like, wow, like you guys are nuts. They
Did
were
you guys
so
ever
good.
play Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage? That
Yes.
game was the
No.
shit.
yeah,
Yes.
I
that
missed
game
it.
was fun.
It's funny that everywhere else I'm around in town, like there's a lot of retro stores where I'm at right now in Green Bay, and they have the game out there, and they're selling it for like about $300-400 for a fucking cartridge of that game. And
Yeah.
it's absolutely ridiculous. But I remember I got it for a friend of mine, and we were able to get it for about $20-30. And I told him buy it because it was like more expensive elsewhere. And he played the game, and he says, "Dude, this is one of the best games I ever played." And it's just so much fun to play. Just sit there and just play it for a few hours. So I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. And just playing as Spider-Man or playing as Venom and all and that shit. And oh my god, I can't. I sit there and just keep looking back at that game and how much fun it was.
We used to argue
It
about
was
who was
hard
going
as
to play
fuck,
as
but
who.
don't get me wrong, it was fun.
Yeah, I remember that too.
No, I'm going to be Venom this time. Screw you,
Oh yeah, it was like that, dude. It's like, oh, I want to put no, fuck you. I'm Spider. I'm like,
Mom, Brandon's swearing. No, I'm not. He's just, You're in trouble. I get to go first player now. Stuff like that. And I know we're not going to, obviously, we cover a lot of wrestling, obviously, on the Joe Cronin Show. But what was your favorite wrestling game, everybody? I know.
No Mercy.
No Mercy? What about you, Joe?
I would. Oh, sorry.
Well,
No.
just to me, I mean, I liked a lot of them, but I mean, I liked the WWF Attitude.
For PlayStation?
No, well, I had it for PlayStation. Yeah, when you could change the ring rope colors and entrances and stuff like that. I have right now 10 VHS tapes where I would make, and this was what, 98. I would make,
roughly.
I would make my own, pay-per-views and have the guys fight each other, and I would commentate over it and create.
I remember Ahmed
tape
Johnson
and
on
tape.
that game was like a huge mush mouth. You couldn't understand a word he said during his cutscenes. It was great.
That was the first one, I think. That was
Someone
that was
made fun of that,
Warzone.
too. They brought that up. Oh, it was Brian Zane that made that up because he talked about some of the worst promos, and he brought up Ahmed Johnson during those games.
Did he? That's great.
That's awesome.
No, Joe's right. That was Warzone.
That was
WWF
Warzone.
Warzone.
Because Ahmed wasn't.
Yeah,
in
because that was with
Attitude.
Stone Cold and Undertaker. That's what I'm thinking of. Oh, Attitude came after that. Yeah, that was even
Attitude.
later.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Attitude was after. Yeah, no, Warzone. I loved Warzone. That's what got me in Attitude. But like when Attitude came out, it was like I was waiting so much. I was like, Warzone was awesome, and Attitude like doubled everything. Like because Warzone was so small, it was like play as these 9 wrestlers, and that's about all you could do, and it was all
Yeah,
right.
there wasn't much
Right.
for Wars. It was a very small roster, and they'd had a creative wrestler, but you basically can only use the parts from other wrestlers and just change the color.
When
A
Attitude
friend of mine
came out,
made
it was
Kane
all
like
expanded.
500 pounds and called him the Sun. Like
Yeah, dude, it was when Attitude came out, it was so good to me. Like I was like, oh my god, I've been dreaming of this. Like being able to create, manipulate, and do stuff in games is something, especially then, that I dreamed of and wanted to do really badly. Like I would have flourished in this time we're in right now, because now you can really do the things that I was thinking I wanted to do back then that some games tapped into a little bit, but they never fully tapped into, like facial, putting your face on the character and all that stuff. I would have jizzed over that.
yeah, that's still today. I
Because
am
I would have
blown
gone
away by
around
how much you can do.
all your friends in school. I mean, I would have taken pictures of everybody, and we would have made like characters in the game, and then we would have held like pay-per-views live online, and I would have passed around the school that we're having a match tonight at like 6 p.m. and everybody watch. It's gonna be me, and we would have tried to tell our own wrestling show story, like, and like try to get people into it at school. Like, I would have done that type of stuff. That's not what I'm sure there's people that do that now.
There's a lot of people that do that now. I mean, Canadian Basement has his own league, and he's done stuff like that, you know. And same thing with Matt the Misfit.
Stephen
they
Larson
commentate over it. You've commentated stuff yourself. You know, you had your own pay-per-view, and it was great. And the things you can do now, you can make your own full-blown wrestling league and stories. It's truly incredible. But Brian, what was your favorite?
Since No Mercy was already mentioned, that would have been my number one.
So
I'll just go with my number two at this point, because number one would have been No Mercy. So number two, I would say WCW NWO Revenge.
That was a really good
on the 64.
I got to tell you that one, I was at house parties where everyone would be playing that screaming, and that even though Warzone and Attitude were like my thing personally, those were insane, like to play with people.
I didn't watch WCW at all. I hated WCW. I loved that game. That game was so much fun. I remember, you know, eventually figuring out how to actually do the special maneuvers, as you had the taunt with the middle thumbstick on the 64. Right. And when I finally, like, that was so cool. My favorite was WrestleMania 2000.
Oh
shit. I put so much time into the create a character with that, and it was being able to, like, the thing was,
what system was that on?
That was 64.
Okay, I didn't play it.
And yeah, see, that was so good for its time. And Warzone had like these really, really like 2-second entrance versions for the wrestlers coming out. And then you had 64's, you know, WrestleMania 2000, and they actually had the song clips with the lyrics and things like that. And it wasn't all like midied out. It was, you know, you had some actual music in there.
Well, Attitude had the real songs.
Yeah. This was before that, though, you know, so it was like...
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess.
At this time, it was just like, wow, to have these things and see Kane's Pyro go off and the Undertaker's, you know, ministry theme, and, you know, my buddy and I...
Well, yeah, they were out then. It was out then. Warzone was out before the ministry.
No, I know. I'm saying before Attitude.
Yeah, well, I know Attitude was out, too, because they had... right? Because they had the new Taker on that one. They had, like, Triple H and DX and...
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, there was, but yeah, it was good though. But I actually didn't have 2000 though.
Yeah, but 2000 was just so much fun though, for the fact that, you know, it was so in depth.
Because WrestleMania 2000 probably came out around 2000. Attitude came out in '99.
Was it 99? Oh yeah. And then, like, maybe just because it was 64 then.
Yeah, because I thought Jesus, I thought 64 was dead by 2000. I didn't even know anybody played it in 2000. That's fun.
Yeah. It like Heistman said, it was like a real show. It felt like you were watching, you know, the actual live broadcast. I mean, it didn't look as great, but it had that feel to it. So,
yeah, I mean, you could create entrances in Attitude. So it was like, oh, I'm creating an entrance. Like, this is crazy. And have the colors of the pay-per-view. Like, that was nuts. But yeah, probably similar, because I believe that was like the alternate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of...
one was PlayStation, one was 64.
Yeah, it's like, that's a little bit different, but they both were trying to do the same thing. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, those... I think a lot of people would say SmackDown. I don't know. D-Moon, what's yours?
I said No Mercy, but SmackDown was going to be my second one, because I had, during the time PlayStation, I preferred to play more.
Yeah.
And SmackDown, man, I remember that game. I used to play for hours. I remember I found it funny playing as Vince McMahon. Come in with the fucking suit, and it was just like the shit, dude.
I don't think Leah played a wrestling game, but I'm just gonna...
Yeah, I was gonna say, Leah, did you have any favorite yourself, or did you play any of them?
She had to go grab the kid real quick. She'll be back.
Okay.
But I would say classic-wise, I think a lot of people liked WrestleMania, the classic game, but I like Steel Cage Wrestling, man. I had that game. I don't know, it was fun.
That was fun, yeah.
Oh my god.
Steel Cage
Yeah, No Mercy came after WrestleMania 2000, so it took like everything that worked well in that game, and it just expanded on it. And they had this really cool story mode where even if you lost some matches, like, you had to lose some matches in order to go ahead and progress the story that you wanted, and there was varying storylines and things like that being included. I had never seen that at that time, until that time, and it was just very intuitive and forward thinking. So
a lot of people would say SmackDown, but I hated the SmackDown games because they didn't feel real. But what I did love about SmackDown, the fun thing in that was always just like, throwing someone off a cage or something like that. Was
when they added the Hell in a Cell matches, and you would see it come across the screen. SmackDown, when you did the finishers, the rock bottom, they would say SmackDown. Those just felt very arcadey to me.
Yeah,
they were fun, but it felt like you were playing in an arcade sim versus where No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000 especially had a bit of a slower pace, so it felt like a real wrestling match.
I will.
WCW NWO, because another thing was, it also helped me keep in touch. Like if I was watching, Nitro or Thunder or whatever back in the day during the Monday Night Wars, you were able to change the wrestlers based upon what faction they were with. So if they were with NWO Hollywood, you were able to get them to that gear. Or if they were with the Wolfpack, or if they were with Raven's Flock for all.
And if they won Hey, Himmelgod, was this the first game too? I think it might have been the first game where if a guy in your game won the belt, like then the belt would be on that guy too, and that was really cool.
Yes.
So if your friend came over and he created a character, or maybe I don't know if you could create characters in that game, but
yes, you could.
Okay, so and your friend was like your friend's name, and he beat you for the belt. He would have the belt, so that's why it was exciting. You'd have friends over competing for the belt. And
on the 64,
exactly correct.
You could save it to the memory card, which went in the back of the controller.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know every game had it, but I know No Mercy definitely had it, and I believe WrestleMania 2000 had it, where you could import, so if my buddy brought over his custom character, then he could go ahead and upload it from his house with the memory card to my game. And then from there, he can win the belt and take it back to his house. Like shit like that was nuts. That was
that's
the ultimate insult to injury. Not only did he beat you at your house, but he took your belt and he's taking it home with him. Like that shit was so crushing.
Fucking wild, dude.
I didn't know you could do that.
It was partly like just keeping up with everybody that's on television. And I remember this person switched to this, faction or whatever, and I got to change them up, and you could change them up to look like that person from that faction.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. And it was a way for me to say, here I'm playing with the game, but I can go ahead and put in this character he looks just like he does on Monday Nitro, and just go with it in the game, So that's what I loved about WCW NWO Revenge, dude. It was like, holy shit, dude.
I know this is
perform your own roster update. That's
I need
huge.
to mention the sports games because I love NHL and I love Madden, even though we hate EA Sports. But I also got to mention one of the best baseball games of all time to me is MVP Baseball 2005, the last one that EA made. Manny Ramirez was on the cover, and the game is just, to this day, I mean, MLB The Show is really good, but I still would rather pick up MVP Baseball from 2005 or 4 or whatever it was, and it was so goddamn good. They really, to me, they perfected a baseball game and then lost the rights to the ability to make the game. So I don't know anybody
that makes me bring up in football for NFL 2K5 and how good that game was until EA says, "Oh shit, we're fucked." And decided to go ahead and buy the license to the NFL. So
then EA. That was the thing is EA lost the rights to baseball, then they bought the rights to football, and then 2K bought the rights to basketball, I think. And just that really, that's a whole nother discussion of how things got ruined because it really hurt competition because they just we're going to buy it. Now, I didn't necessarily like that. All my favorite football games are Madden, but I mean, 2K's done a pretty good with baseball, but it really messed up the competition, man. There should have been more of a competition. Instead,
I agree.
We had
NFL Blitz was my shit.
Oh my god!
That was fun.
Being able to powerbomb somebody and go ahead and clothesline them, and I remember I beat a neighbor of mine 103-0 just with safeties. You would just powerbomb into the end zone. It was just so good, so good.
I didn't like Blitz. You know why? Because I was I wanted to play a real simulation.
Yeah, so you didn't want to play a cartoony, action-filled 30 yards to get first down.
It pissed me off. I was like, no, what the hell? What the hell is this? I couldn't find I don't know. I should have found the fun in it, but I just never did. I rather played the Madden.
That makes sense. You wanted something more serious. What about NBA Jam? See, I love that game.
Yeah,
he's on fire.
Yeah, I love NBA Jam. That's different.
I used to love NBA Street.
NBA
Street was
surprising.
Right now is NBA Jam. They have the
On
Fire edition for Xbox One. If you get that for backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, dude! I love NBA Jam. And I was hoping they were going to announce it because I kept telling everybody, yeah, they're going to announce it. Tim Kutzrow, he's the voice of NBA Jam. He's talking about it with Microsoft about doing it for the 25th anniversary. I'm like, where the fuck is it? They're talking about it in January of this year. They're saying, "Yeah, we're talking about Microsoft to do the game." I'm like,
well, they brought back
the game.
They brought
Boom
back
shakalaka.
They brought it back on 360 like what 8 years
that's what
ago.
I'm saying, the On Fire edition.
Oh, that is the one. Okay, so yeah, it was 8.
Yeah,
was
they
it?
just made it backwards compatible so you can play the 360.
Oh,
edition.
okay, all right, okay. The other one was that because then they made the mini NHL game. I like that one too, with the big heads.
NHL, I think, what was it? NHL Open Ice, I think it was called.
Yeah,
and I used to play that in the arcade. I'm like, holy shit, that game was great.
yeah, that shit was fun too. And the old hockey one. What was that old one? I forget now.
Yeah, that's what it was called. It was called Open Ice.
Open Ice, yeah.
No, I mean I played Open Ice too, but there was another one I was thinking of. I think maybe it is Open Ice.
I think Xbox 360 did one was called 3-on-3 NHL Arcade or something.
Yeah, that one was the one that I was talking about. But I was also talking about like an old Nintendo game too. Like what the hell was that one? Remember, there's like a fat guy. And that was weird. I don't know
what it's called.
Yeah, that was. I didn't play that, but I remember it.
I did love people. Well, okay, let's go into people want us to go into GTA a little bit. There's a big fight about GTA. I'm not a huge GTA guy, but to me, and I played Liberty City and I played Vice City, but I don't know what it is, but to me, the one that I connected with the most, and this is weird, but I love San Andreas the most. It's weird.
Yeah, same here.
I love.
A lot of people would say that, and I think it was just a sign of the times. Like, they upped the ante with San Andreas by making the story more interesting, and because 3 didn't really have a great story.
No, it didn't.
It really didn't. It was just, oh my God, I can free roam, I can beat up hookers, I can take back my money, I can, have sex with the prostitutes, then rob them, which is, everybody's main job in that game. And then all the weapons, the tanks, like it was just a murder simulator. That's what it was. You were just going on a killing spree and having a blast doing it. Then they had.
I'm surprised, Jake, how many times I've reviewed Grand Theft Auto. And the first thing you just said was murder simulator.
Yeah.
And it's funny how any people like congressmen or people would bring that up and they would say murder simulator. Now, Grand Theft Auto 3, I love the fact because it really introduced a little bit more of open world gameplay to everybody. But for me, I mean, like Joe, you mentioned San Andreas. For me, my favorite Grand Theft Auto is still Vice City.
Yeah.
Vice City was
the original.
Here it is, Miami, the 1980s, cocaine cowboy, wherever you want to put it. That was the game, and I'm sorry if it makes me feel like a homer because I'm from South Florida.
Yeah, well, plus white people too.
Yeah, it took basically they take Scarface meets Goodfellas.
Yeah. In
that game because you were basically playing as a character that's played by Ray Liotta.
Yeah,
with Miami Vice, to back it up.
Miami Vice, you had fucking every stereotype you can think of.
Yeah. In
that game, and considering that I'm more of a child from the '80s.
Yeah, you're an '80s kid through and through.
Music, the '80s lifestyle, the cocaine, everything you can think of, and to me, that was my favorite game. I was like, I look at San Andreas, how good that game was. It made me feel like I went from 2 games that made me have that mafia lifestyle to Boys in the Hood. And I'm like, I'd rather go back to the mafia shit.
Yeah.
See, that just struck a chord with you more personally. And San Andreas went and even you got to admit, Vice City really was. The story though was more like an adrenaline junkie kind of thing. Like it was how extreme can it get? They just kind of tried to up themselves over and over. As where San Andreas, it made you connect with the characters. You cared about CJ and you wanted to see him get his comeuppance. You saw him start off on the
fuck that. I just wanted to kill people. I was like,
yeah, same here.
I don't give a
story was good.
Coffee. Let's just put it there. He wanted hot coffee.
But you know what? I did care about CJ.
There.
Yeah, no. I ended up liking I missed the. I don't know what it was, man. Like, I don't know. I just think it's the one. But I played Vice City before, and that was the one that really exploded Grand Theft Auto, if I remember, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it Vice?
Yeah.
3
was popular. Vice City was huge.
Is it Vice City, then San Andreas, then Liberty City?
Then 4, then 5. So, but there's Vice City stories and like all the side games too. But
right. Yeah, Vice City, by the way, if we were going as far to say as a top 5, Vice City is in my top 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, Leah, you said you liked Vice City your favorite as well, right?
Yeah.
What about it made it your favorite?
Probably because it was the first one I played. And like I just got like sucked into it. Like I don't know, I loved it. I played hours and hours of it. I did like San Andreas though too. I liked like I don't know, it was weird. I liked the whole like eating factor.
Yeah,
Stuff like
see,
that.
again, RPG elements stuck with you.
Yeah.
You could work out and build up your strength.
It's the
There
Sims
were
in
other
the ghetto.
objectives than just shooting. So yeah,
It's the Sims in the ghetto, baby.
I love the Sims.
Yeah.
it was, as Heist said, hood as fuck. Yeah, it really.
Yeah,
it
The
had
Sims
a lot
is
of good
another
stuff.
one.
Hell yeah.
The
I
writing
still
was
play
good.
The Sims.
When you can own everything in the freaking city, and then you just walk in the club with a freaking flamethrower. Look at the freaking Village People wannabes sitting there on the stage, and just burn them all on fire and take everybody out in the club.
See, I didn't have a PlayStation. I had PlayStation 1. I didn't have a PlayStation 2 or 3. I stuck with Dreamcast and the original Xbox. So for me, I would play it at my buddy's house. Like he had the PlayStation 2, I had the other console. So we would share in that sense. And it was fun to just go in and play quick, but for me, nothing really struck a chord. Like, all right, cool, I'm gonna spawn in some cheat codes and drop in a tank and go nuts. But that was it. Grand Theft Auto 4, I got into that with Nico and oh my cousin, that was fun. But 5, that's my favorite. Grand Theft Auto 5, the story in that game with Michael, Trevor, and you get through with everybody, and it just that was so well written and just. Incredible to play. So much.
I mentioned this back. I think last week we were talking about it, and we mentioned Grand Theft Auto 4, and I mentioned how you have your cousin, hey Nico, you want to go bowling, and you're like in a 6-star fucking police fucking chase, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to answer the fucking phone.
Yeah, that irritated me. That game seriously.
You want to go bowling?
Grand Theft Auto 5 just did it so much better. Like. And you look at each character and how their story was playing out. And of course, I mean, in Grand Theft Auto 5, I love Trevor because of the fact that it made me feel like the old Grand Theft Auto games.
Yes.
Like, here, let me go fucking do rampages and just shoot
Trevor
everybody
was
like,
a psychopath. Franklin had that San Andreas feel, and Michael had the Miami Vice, Vice City feel. So you had
the not black
their best
feel,
titles.
or the not black feel. Racy bunch of racists.
Well, that's why you had
I wasn't going to go there, but jeez.
You bunch of racists.
And Franklin went ahead and had, I think, the best story out of the three of them in 5.
Oh,
Trevor's was like out there, but I don't know.
Hey, trust me, I don't like I can't believe that I like San Andreas the best, but I don't know why I do. But it's because the only reason why. Here's the thing. It's not the best. It's just I played that one the most. So whatever you played the most, because they're all seriously, they're all very similar. So it's hard to. It's gonna come down to which one you played the most or connected with. I mean, I love the '80s stuff. So I loved Vice City in a way.
Yeah, I grew up in the '80s, so it made a lot of sense to me.
But yeah, I don't know what it was. I didn't play it a whole ton for some reason. And then by the time I got into Grand Theft Auto more, it was San Andreas had come out. So then I got into that, and I really played that. And that was the last one I really played. I haven't really.
Same.
And Grand Theft Auto Online is a great premise to me, but they didn't really, I feel like, optimize a lot of the things, because they went from the 360 and they brought it up to the new gen or next gen consoles and PC, but it still takes forever, 10 minutes of server time to load just to watch it fail and start over. And on top of it, they focus so heavily now on buying their form of currency with the shark cards.
Shark cards.
Oh.
Unless you have a dedicated set of friends to run certain missions over and over and over again, like the heist, you're not going to be able to afford anything in that game. Like, you really have to grind beyond levels of fun to get anything decent. You want the Batmobile? They added the Tumbler in the game, and now they have a flying motorcycle, and they have the Back to the Future DeLorean that actually flies around. But it's $3, $4, $5, $8 million for these things. $8 million is a $50 DLC purchase.
Or just jump on the PC and fucking
mod the shit out of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or you can just play Burnout Paradise, because Burnout Paradise has the DeLorean in the game.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been
watching.
watching.
You can go run around the whole city with the Ghostbusters. If you want.
That's awesome. I watch a lot of these gamer streamers. They manipulate that stuff, and they make the kids watch these videos like nuts. They get the whole cast of Five Nights at Freddy's going around shooting clowns. Like today, I was watching that.
Oh yeah, they've done some crazy stuff. Like they had the cast
Mickey
of everybody
Mouse.
in Marvel take on everybody in DC, and and they had their actual functioning, working superpowers. Incredible.
I don't know who makes these mods, but the GTA mods are insane. If you guys haven't seen those videos, I mean, Jesus, it's weird.
Have you seen the real life Sims in GTA, the role playing servers?
No.
Like on Twitch, people go ahead and they get into these specific lobbies, and you have police officers, paramedics, clerks, and random citizens, and people stick to their roles, Joe. It is insane.
Awesome.
And you go ahead and it's like a 50-person lobby that they've modded through, and or 30 people, but and everybody has their own job, and the police actually get dispatched through Discord servers.
Is fun. That is fun.
And
like seriously, like Star Trek VR
it's a real
like
life
that.
server. Like it's a living, breathing strategy type.
So
or
it's like
simulation.
Second Life.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
but they did it in GTA. So, and
It's crazy.
It's ridiculously amusing. I don't even know how to just fully give it justice by explaining it. I'll have to send you some videos. Leah, you'll die laughing, especially. Like, it's just role-playing servers
send me those.
on the next level. It's so good.
I don't know too much about like mods, but I think the funniest one I've seen was on Fallout 4. Some guy modded the Deathclaw to sound and look like Randy Savage.
Yes.
It just goes around. Like, yeah. It's just like, what the fuck.
They
Every
did
time
that
he
in
appears.
what game was it? Left 4 Dead 2. They ended up doing that. So every time you made a kill, you would hear the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh my god!
So it was like, oh yeah, step into a Slim Jim, and all this shit, dude. Over and over and over. And I thought that was really funny.
Killing streak.
What I remember, they did that in Fallout 4, and then you just mentioned that because in Fallout 4 they would have it where they would set off the like a mini nuke and start killing people with the mini nuke.
Yeah.
And every time the mini nuke would go off, it would be the John Cena theme.
It's John Cena.
That's
yeah,
funny.
exactly. So it goes off. It's John Cena. And fucking everybody dying.
Oh my god!
What about rhythm games? Did you guys play any like Rock Band or
Yes.
Guitar Hero?
Guitar
I used to
Hero.
play Rock Band a lot.
Yeah.
I played Guitar Hero quite a bit, and I actually started Guitar
That's
Hero.
the one I played.
Yeah, Guitar Hero 3 was what I started with, and Courtney and I started playing on the controller
Well, that's
because we didn't have the guitars. We got the demo. We learned how to play on where the triggers were
Jesus.
the colors, and the A button was the orange fret, and we were badass on the controller. Then we got into the instruments, and when I actually had my brain surgery, when I came back home from the ICU and whatnot, they recommended Guitar Hero and or Rock Band to go ahead and help with my hand-eye coordination. So that's when I started to play, and that's when World Tour came out. So it had the drum set with it and whatnot. And
Oh my god.
yeah, a few people were kind enough to get it for me, and that's what I used for physical therapy, for hand-eye coordination and motor skills, to boost myself back up. And I played the living hell out of Guitar Hero. Loved
You
it.
mentioned that. It's funny that back in the day, we were doing that with a website I was with, and I keep bringing it up all the time with the website I was with SFX 360. We did that as a competition with Guitar Hero, where people would get up on stage and start playing the songs on that game, and it wasn't just about how you played for that song. It was the kind of style you brought to the table. So you had to be fucking creative as hell. And so it wasn't like, oh, hey, I could play Through the Fire and Flames on freaking Expert. I don't care. I want to show me some style out there on the stage to start doing some shit. Start bringing freaking Spinal Tap or whatever you can tap into and start doing that. And we had a local band out there doing the competition with us. And they would judge people American Idol style on their style that they would bring to the table on that game. So we had a huge competition, and we did it at a local bar. We brought so many people to that game. And I remember the winners, we gave them a copy of freaking Band Hero that had every fucking instrument. So
Oh my god!
dude, we went off the fucking walls. I wish that website was still going, but then
That
again,
is crazy.
I bet
I've seen a
guys,
few of
so
those
it's all good
competitions
enough,
too. And they're funny as hell. Like you said, how much flair do you have? You're basically, a cover band, but with plastic instruments. And how well can you
take
rock
that
a crowd?
instrument and throw it behind your head and start playing the
Do
game.
the solos.
Yeah.
You got people twirling the drumsticks, and
Yeah.
the singer acting like Axl Rose. Like it just, it's
It's
That's
amazing
funny.
what people would do. We would draw a bar, and they would have, in a local bar with the beer and everything, we would have probably about 200-300 people sitting there doing a competition. So
Damn. The Rose actually said he was one of the top 8 players in the world in Guitar Hero World Tour online. That's crazy.
That's insane. I believe it too, man. He got a lot of games. The Rose plays a lot of stuff. I've seen his stuff.
Right.
But it was just amazing how much, in a clinical sense, that game was able to help me recover. And a lot of people look at gaming, just as...
I would have just said, hey, jerk off. Like,
well, hey, that would help the right hand. The left hand would still be flailing around.
Well, you were listening to me, too. You were listening to me sitting there jerking off.
Yeah, exactly.
How weird is that?
Voice of Joe Cronin.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to seem to lean towards all these those dark, gritty games of the '90s. I don't know, man. Those are the things. Like, other than some of the newer ones, like I said, like, I mean, right now, my favorite games right now are just PUBG, Halo, and fucking NHL and Diablo. I mean, like, that's it. That's all I'm playing.
Yeah.
You really love NHL.
I do, even though I get angry at it. Love that hockey game.
Every single time.
Love that hockey game.
Rage.
Every time you play, it is like I'm sitting here like, when's it gonna happen? And it always does.
That game's enraging though. Yeah, I mean it was better in like 13, but no. I mean I'm playing Diablo right now, like because that's what I just got to play it.
I think for me, it's a little bit more RPG oriented. I'm more into RPGs than anything else now at this point.
Yeah.
So,
well,
it's hard for me to get into a lot of other games, except if it's something I've played a lot of. But for me, yeah, it's RPG City, baby.
Yeah, I like. I'm trying to think of like what was the last. People wanted us to talk about Final Fantasy a lot, so like I figured we'd bring that up, and that's a little bit different.
I love Final Fantasy, dude. Oh my god.
7 was
the only
definitely
ones
the
that
Mecca.
really matter were like 6 through 10.
Yeah.
I mean, after that, it kind of left the RPG shit.
7 was
my first Final Fantasy I played was Final Fantasy X.
Really?
And that was my first one. And as awkward as the the ha 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 ha, the whole laughing is how cringe that shit was. It was still a great fucking game. So if you go away from that cringy ass sequence, the rest of the game is really freaking good. And then eventually it led me into going back to playing Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 9, and then moving on to where I'm at now, up to 15. So Final Fantasy 10, dude, holy shit, dude, that game was just so fucking great.
I wish I could have gotten into it more, but I don't know what it was. I couldn't. I tried. I played and beat 7 with a friend of mine together. We would take turns, and I can see why people love it. I truly can. I understand why so many people flock to it, and that's why people were losing their minds when they went ahead and announced that the remake is coming, and it's not even a remaster, but a full remake. And another one that I don't understand at all why people like is Shenmue.
I love Shenmue, dude.
I can't. That game was so tedious. That was a job simulator, basically, with a little bit of like.
Ooh, I love that.
Minor kickboxing built in. Like, you're going to be a bag boy at a grocery store, and then eventually, about 35 hours later, you're going to kick somebody once.
All right. Have you ever played any of the Yakuza games though?
Yes.
Right now? Those are
4.
I played. Came off of what Shenmue was. And you eventually got Yakuza, and Yakuza's the shit. I mean...
Yeah. I like
that was just much more defined, though.
And so great.
That's what it is. That was like... Yakuza's more akin to Saints Row in comparison to Grand Theft Auto. They took it to an extreme, so...
And then you got those mini games on top of it. They're just absolutely insane.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with... Saints Row. That was insane. Right. Walking around and beating people with a dildo baseball bat is certainly,
yeah.
Becoming president of the United States and nuking everyone had its, ups and downs. But
my friend went crazy on that. He's like, "What are you beating this shit out of those people with?" Dildo baseball bat. He goes, "He's running around beating people up with a dildo. Look at him now."
George Carlin would have loved it.
Become the president. What more do you need? But.
I know, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know what else we missed, or we missed a lot, to be honest. I mean, Halo, we didn't talk a ton about Halo, but
yeah, that can be its own thing, especially
exactly.
You alone.
We all know.
But you and I have a lot to talk about with the new one, and you were telling me about the TV show as well, and
the TV show coming to Showtime.
Yeah, that's going to be incredible.
Somebody needs to do a PC gaming one with me.
Yeah, gladly.
We can talk all day about.
I want
PC
to talk
games.
about WoW. I'll talk about Diablo. I want to talk about The Witcher. There's
my
more
God.
stuff too.
Would you guys?
I saw it in the chat.
Even The
Skyrim
Witcher's-
as well.
Skyrim.
Doing,
The
is-
Witcher's getting a Netflix series.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Yeah.
Yes.
People suggested, talking about, different, not just the consoles like we had went through, but like peripherals and also do like the worst games and so we got a lot more topics to.
Oh, this
certainly
is
cover.
endless.
We can go like forever on this shit. You kidding me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's. I mean,
Is
we
there
took-
any game we didn't mention that was on anybody's list?
Yeah, people should let us know in the chat or call. Actually,
Resident
give me
Evil?
a minute. Yeah, Resident Evil's on my list too, and I forgot that
Second
one.
one.
Yeah,
You know what
Resident Evil's
game-
on mine too.
Yeah.
A game I haven't played in a million years, but I think a lot of people would like it is Earthbound.
Oh, yeah.
Earthbound. Holy cow.
Wow, that's a.
But-
I haven't heard that brought up in a long time.
There's a game out now. I was playing on Xbox One and on my PS4 they have it. It's called Citizens of Earth, and it plays just like Earthbound.
Oh, really?
But it's the same fucking game. You play as the vice president of the world, and like you'd have all these wacky ass characters doing shit. Like one of the characters is your mother, and you sit there just fucking doing shit.
That's awesome.
But there's
I love
so
that
many
stuff,
different like classes of characters, but it's exactly like Earthbound.
dude. If you ask
Same
me
game.
my top 10,
Earthbound's
in, like,
another one
94,
of those turn-based games, though.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta wait.
Mm-hmm.
I never really
Yeah.
played
That
it
was
much,
one I would
but
bring up. Halo, obviously, you guys brought that up, and
Yeah,
obviously
Halo
The Last
certainly.
of Us.
Oh, I got another one.
yeah.
Elder Scrolls.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't
Skyrim.
discuss Elder Scrolls,
And
Skyrim,
Oblivion.
Oblivion was real big
Yeah,
time.
Oblivion. Yeah. I didn't like Skyrim too much.
I played Oblivion,
That was
yeah.
shit.
What? Skyrim
How did
is
you not like
awesome.
Skyrim?
I
I don't
love
know.
Skyrim.
Oblivion.
It's not that I didn't like it. I just preferred Oblivion.
I liked
I
Oblivion,
can
but I don't know.
understand
I
that.
just got so in. Maybe it's the whole Norse thing that sucked me in because I'm wicked into that.
I remember in
Skyrim.
Oblivion, or no, Elder Scrolls, excuse
I
me.
loved Oblivion.
I was so obsessed with becoming, it was Oblivion, with becoming a vampire and following the whole storyline.
Oh,
Like,
no,
that's-
see, I,
Oh my God.
And then I
Yeah.
saved over my original save state, and I'm like, oh my god, so it's now vampire or nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I had
Oh,
multiple
shit.
timelines spaced out with different saves, so I could go ahead and accomplish different things. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like 110 hours in, and I'd have to start all over. So I was like, forget it.
I used
That
to sit in
sucks.
Fallout and just become a character that was completely like I would be like the good guy for just one game, and then I would set up another save state where I'd be completely evil, and I would use the stealth boys to go ahead and just rob people of all their shit. And I remember taking this one guy; he had like all really good ass weapons. So of course I went right into stealth boy mode, found out what he had, took all his shit, and left a grenade for him. So that all of a sudden you hear the guy go, "Oh shit!" and it just fucking blew up. So I'm such an a-hole in this games, man. And I remember because I remember back at E3, it was the first E3 I went to, which was back in 2009, and I met Todd Howard.
Oh
And
wow!
I had a chance at a party with Todd Howard at a Microsoft party, and we would actually be talking about Fallout for, God forbid, like 3 hours.
Jesus.
Here I am, I could be staring at hot chicks for 3 hours, and here I am talking to Todd Howard about Fallout for 3 hours. And he was like the most engaged person in the world, learning shit off of
That's
me
crazy.
to use in the game. So-
Yeah, he is so good to fans and creators alike.
Probably was listening to all the stuff you said. Like, oh man, they like okay, I like this.
He really was, because it was that, and he actually was buying drinks for me just to keep me fucking talking. So
we can
Just
blame
remember,
Fallout
because on the
76
website, I
on
gave
you.
the game a perfect score for Fallout 3.
Did you like Fallout 76? Yeah, it's coming out.
There's Himmelgod saying, "We need to go online." You flash back.
Yeah.
So
You never know,
disappointed
you might
with
find
that.
my name in the fucking credits. Who knows?
Oh my god, that's really funny. That is really funny.
That was a
Destiny
bummer.
is a big title for me at this point. As much as I can argue up and down about how it's the worst, best game ever, I know it's not anywhere near the best game of all time, but I've sunk way too many hours into Destiny, the original, even the sequel.
The first one.
Not as much Destiny 2, but
Yeah.
Destiny 1, I poured so much time in.
Yeah,
Oh, Destiny.
More than I'd like to admit, really.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that Destiny's top 5 now for them, which is
Not for
maybe
me.
top 10. Not for me either. No, I didn't play it much, but I did.
It would be in my top 10 without fail.
I thought it was going to be the greatest thing. I don't like I think it's really cool and it's really interesting, but I don't like how it's I don't like its frame rate. I don't like the way it plays.
I think you would enjoy it more on the PC, honestly.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's such a faster, different type of feel. It feels like a whole different game entirely, really.
I got a couple of games I guess we haven't really mentioned, and they're in my top 10. So I was wondering, see if I can get your guys' thoughts on this. One obviously would be The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And the other is BioShock.
Oh, okay. So real quick on I'll make mine quick. Last of Us, I have not played with it. I mean, I have not played it, believe it or not. I've heard that game is just so fucking amazing, and I haven't played it. I really should play it. But BioShock, I did enjoy. It's not on my top, but I do like it.
Yeah.
What about Far?
Shit to me.
What about Far Cry?
Oh.
I just beat 5, and I've always enjoyed the Far Cry series.
Yeah.
But I was never. It's not any of my favorites, but they're all fun to play. They're very. 5 had its a good bit of difference, but they all kind of get repetitive, and they have the same kind of ebb and flow to them.
I really liked Primal, but
Primal was a straight rip of 4 to me. Because I played Far Cry 4. See, that's why.
Yeah.
So if you played 4, it was Primal was the exact same layout for the map. They just used the same area. And just went and updated it a little bit for Primal. So
what about Blood Dragon? You guys ever played Blood Dragon?
Yes.
Yes, that was one of my favorites of that.
That was like, okay, wow, this is cool. And everything was different scenery, different layout, futuristic yet sci-fi at the same time.
But if you go back to like the whole 80s vibe and stuff like that, and you see like parts of Terminator, part RoboCop, and part all this stuff just thrown into one game, and it felt like just like a big gag and a joke. But it was like you sit there and you play the game, and I just really got into it. So I have to say, Blood Dragon is one of my favorites. So other than maybe Far Cry 3.
Never played any of the Far Cry series, but I always heard that they were really great games.
Yeah.
I'd never played them, and then Joe had Primal, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try, and I just got sucked right into it until I completed it.
Yeah, see, if that's like your first experience and you haven't played others and, you're jumping into this, it really is, a captivating new world. Problem is, if you're coming from, the standpoint of playing the other ones, it was just too repetitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. I have heard that about them.
There wasn't enough innovation, and a lot of it was just the same weapons and enemies just skinned differently. So
yeah,
exactly correct.
5 was good, especially I really liked the protagonist and the ending has a lot of contention to it. You can argue a lot of different ways with that without getting into spoilers, but as far as BioShock goes, I liked it, but I wasn't crazy about it. A lot of people are like, oh, it's sacrilegious if you say isn't your favorite game of all time. I liked the story. It was good, but I wasn't crazy about it. And as much as I love shooters, it didn't capture me like it did other people.
I liked it, but it's not like my glue. I'm not that connected like that, but I did like it. I could throw it in and play it.
And Last of Us, I watched a whole playthrough of, but again, don't have PlayStation 3 or 4, so the only time I've ever wanted a PlayStation is right now for Spider-Man that's going to come out. And that's because I love the Batman Arkham games. Yeah. Rocksteady and what they did for Batman was amazing. I'm a huge Batman fan. Obviously, I got the tattoo, and everything about Batman is just right up my alley. And my God, those games were, you felt like you were Batman. That was it. You were the Cape Crusader. You were taking on your favorite villains of all time, and they let you go nuts in this open world. And every game only got better. So.
It was like GTA. That stuff was like GTA, but you're Batman. Like that's
yeah, exactly. And I look at that with Spider-Man, and I'm looking forward to that game. I even pre-ordered it already with the collector's edition.
Yeah,
so I want to go all the way with that, and even get the statue and all that stuff to unbox for YouTube and shit.
Oh wow!
But dude, every time I see that game, I'm just more excited for it. And obviously, when I look at the combat, the first thing I thought of was Batman.
Yeah, same studio, and like I said, this is the first time that I'm like, all right, I wish I had a PlayStation. Every other time, I couldn't care less. But this one, I would gladly want. But I don't think it would have enough replay value to actually invest in getting one. So
I'll let you borrow mine. Just get it hard.
Some repairs and assembly.
Well,
required,
no, I mean seriously, all it needs is a hard drive.
Just a hard drive.
It just needs a hard drive. Like I'm not kidding. It's like I think it's like $50. $50.
There we go.
I'd ship it to you so you could use it. You just got to format the hard drive. I read that you can see it's easy to do.
I assume it wouldn't be too difficult.
I'm not really like you get the game. I give you the PlayStation. I don't use it. You know.
Yeah, you got that, and you just never really got into anything playing there.
I mean, I did. I played a little bit, and I played it with some listeners. You know, like a couple of people bought it for me, and I played with them for a while, off and on. But then we just started playing Xbox anyway. So
yeah, and a lot of that is just where we can play with people, and everybody on the the show here we've played many games with, and it's all been on Xbox. It's just
I mean, there are a lot of people that want to play on PlayStation. I mean, now like, they're like, jump on PlayStation, but I'm like, no, now it's broken. So
I think what it is for a lot of multiplayer games, I've been playing lately a lot on PlayStation because a lot of the people that want to game with me are over there.
Yeah.
But a lot, I would say the majority of my time though, I am playing on Xbox. So
yeah.
It is what it is. It's not just because it's 4K and all that stuff. It's because a lot of players are just playing over there, and I'd just rather, be able to play the games with my friends. So.
When PlayStation came out, obviously PlayStation won out of the gate with the new systems, and they really were winning for about 2 years, maybe even 3 years, actually. And recently, I had never heard as many people. It's almost like to a lot of the PlayStation 4 people, they're discovering Xbox now. Like they're like, oh, I'm bored of this. Well, okay, I'm gonna try that Xbox now. Like it's because obviously PlayStation sold like what 70% more copies than more units than Xbox. So that's crazy. Like three for every one they sold, they sold 3 or something. Like it's crazy. But you're seeing a lot of people jump on Xbox now, and that's good for Xbox, and hopefully they keep swinging back and forth.
It really is. They need the competition to this point because, PlayStation's been running away with this in terms of overall sales.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you look at Xbox right now, and I think for a lot of people, if they're still single-minded on this whole thing, saying, oh, PlayStation's the place to be, no, it's not the case because the Xbox at this point, if you really look at the whole overall perspective, they're more consumer-friendly at this point than what the PlayStation is. And I'm not just talking about crossplay. It's just the whole overall landscape.
And they had been. They really were for a while. Like, they were. And then all of a sudden, PlayStation just came back and won, and beat them after Xbox had been beating PlayStation. And, now I think they're coming back. So it's really good to see them bounce back and forth like this. It's really interesting that for the last 18 years, we've had... Xbox overcome PlayStation, PlayStation then overcome Xbox, and then now Xbox start to come back, but they haven't come back yet to beat PlayStation. We'll have to see what happens.
You just said 18 years. I'm like, no, that's not, it really has been. Wow, 2001, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
November.
You can get it to the point where every single, console manufacturer, when you got Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo, and everybody cross-platform together, even with PC, and have this overall gaming landscape that everybody can play together, I think that would be a great thing.
And it's funny you bring that up because I have an article here that I was going to talk to you about after the fact, but Fallout 76, Todd Howard, no cross-console play because Sony is not as helpful as everyone would think and like.
Yeah.
And PS4 has this huge reluctance. Yeah, they're reluctant to support cross-platform.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Xbox can go to PC. They did it with what was the other game there? The one where you're playing as cars and it's soccer.
Oh, Rocket League.
Rocket League. Rocket League. Yeah, that really kicked things off, and then all of a sudden PlayStation said no because they don't want to, share their user base, and same thing happened with Destiny, and now Fortnite. If you sign in on PlayStation, you can't go and sign into the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox, mobile, nothing, or PC. Once you sign in on PlayStation, you're stuck there.
Want to share something with a company that's all of a sudden doing a console that's doing 4K, 60 frames a second.
Yeah,
they don't want to do it. So it's a big issue right now. I'm not saying every game runs at that. They don't, but they don't want to go with something that technically, if you're playing on a console that's a little bit more superior than yours, They don't want that. And add on
Right.
the fact that they're dominating in sales, they can sit there and say, we don't need you. Forget it.
Exactly.
We got 75 million players playing on our console to your 30 million. We don't care.
Yeah.
So,
But it's funny to think when they were staggering behind, Xbox had offered and did things to go ahead and allow the ability of crossplay, and they still shot it down.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. It's funny too because I remember up until the PS2, like I was always like Sony, and then a little after I graduated high school and got my first job, for some reason the Xbox 360 stood out to me because I wanted to play all these games that people had talked about. Like for example, Joe talked a lot about Halo 2. I never was into Halo because I never had an Xbox, but I heard a lot of stories and a lot of good things about it. So I'm like, Halo 3 came out. Let me try it out. And once I got the 360, that was it. Like I was like, dude, Microsoft is doing like all the good things. And it was always tempting to play games like The Last of Us. I mean, I honestly played it once. I get why people like it, but it's just not my cup of tea. It's not enough for me to be like, I gotta get a PS4 for it. And now I kind of just question. It's like, like I'm good with the Xbox One. It's like there's a lot of games that I like, and they're multi-platform, and I'd rather just play them on the Xbox One X at this point.
The crazy thing about
Xbox, that's exactly how I feel.
The crazy thing about Xbox was like I had spent time, I had read about it, which I don't usually read, so it was pretty crazy to see that I was sitting down with a magazine from Microsoft, or Time Magazine did something with Bill Gates, and he talked about it, and that's when I first heard about it, and it was like probably 2000 or 99 or something like that, and I waited. And when it came out, like I tell everybody, I got it the day it came out. I told my mother when it was and like what I wanted for Christmas. That's all I want. And she had gotten it the day it came out. And I can remember like this was even a year into it being out or something. I don't even know what it was. Maybe a year and a half. And I went around school and I did a what's your favorite game video for to put on the the show on the whatever that we do at school.
Right.
And I'm going around. I interview all these kids. I mean everybody. I still have the video. I have it to this day. And, people said, like, WWE Smackdown 2 and GTA and Tricky and, like, just all these games that we talked about earlier, like, all these games, and mostly PlayStation 2 games, especially GTA. And at the end, I finally started asking people, I'm like, dude, what about Xbox? Have you not played Halo? Like, and just nobody had the console. Nobody knew what I was talking about, even some of them. And this was well into Halo 1 being out. And it blew my mind. I was like, wow, what is going on? And I was like, wow, there's not going to be... I thought to myself, I'm like, oh my God, there's never going to be another Halo or another Xbox. Like, this is it. Like, none of these kids in my school even have an Xbox. I'm the only one that I knew of. And I'd interviewed 60 people.
Yeah, I was the first and only as well. I had gotten it for Christmas, lucky enough. And I'm telling you, I was ahead of the curve as well in the sense of nobody knew what it was, or because it didn't seem like as much marketing as there was. It didn't seem like it broke through that mainstrim right away. Not until
really
Xbox
did though.
Live
they had
released.
a lot of marketing. They had that X
they had a ton.
Unraveling all the time on the TV, and I'm just shocked.
It just didn't.
You know what it was?
Break through the audience.
No, what it was PlayStation 2 was in its like golden era with the PS. So
it was dominating at that point.
It's just like PS3. When PS3 came out, 360 was in such a golden era that, and there was even people still playing PS2 that like PS3 suffered because of that. But it was same thing though. It was like the golden era. People were like, "What do you mean Xbox? What the fuck? I'm playing. Have you seen GTA and all this other shit?" And by the way, I was a huge PlayStation guy. I never thought that there would be something better than PlayStation. I don't even know how the hell I found Xbox. Like I said, it was a magazine article. If it wasn't for that and finding out about it, and I didn't know Halo was that good. I didn't even play a demo of Halo. I didn't even know. I was like, all right, Combat Evolves, the one thing that comes with it. Okay, whatever. We'll see what it is. And then it was just like, holy fuck. This is like this is one of the best games. This is the best game I've ever played. Like, what is going on right now? Like,
was that your first game for the Xbox?
That's what came in the Xbox that I got. Yeah.
Yeah. No, mine didn't come with anything. So I had gotten NASCAR, whatever it was, like NASCAR 2002 or something like that, and I was like, "Yay! Thank you, awesome! I'm making another left turn."
Yeah. No, it came. I don't know where the box is, but this box, it just. I mean, that was their. It basically was their Mario. I said that. I was like, oh, so like this is like the Mario. And I thought this is weird because, most when Nintendo came out, Mario was the thing, the kids game Mario, and when Sega came out, it was kind of Sonic was the thing that you would expect to play. And now here's this thing, and it's fucking a shooting game with blood. And like I was like, whoa, like this is because the original Xbox in 2001 reminded me of those gritty games that I liked from the 90s. You know, it's like it just was crazy to play that game. I couldn't believe it.
And for a split screen twin stick shooter.
Yeah, and never mind when you started realizing you could LAN up, like and plug other Xboxes into it. It was ridiculous. We
even found ways to connect online and play Halo when Halo 1 couldn't go on Xbox Live. Yeah. There was a net, basically utility. So you plugged your Xbox into your router and your computer.
Yeah.
And you can trick it into thinking you were having a LAN party.
Yeah, you could just
play
online
against people.
As long as you could get on a server, you could play online because all you had to do is you just had to. It makes it think you're on the same router basically.
Yep.
I never did that, but.
Yeah, back in the day, they used to have this whole console war thing, and they used to throw up some really good YouTube videos where back in the day they would have, like, Nintendo would show up, and here's Mario and Donkey Kong and all these, great characters. And then all of a sudden, here comes Sony, and they bring out freaking Solid Snake and freaking, Kratos from God of War, ready to go to war. And then all of a sudden, here comes Microsoft out of nowhere, and then obviously his Master Chief arrive, and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm all there is. Ready to go to fucking war.
That was that's all you needed, man. I couldn't.
You just get a guy with a gun going, I'm going to fuck all your shits up.
I couldn't believe how I jumped the ship, though, from PlayStation to Xbox, because I was so into PlayStation. When that sound of the original PlayStation turning on, just like the original Xbox turning on, is like, I want to jizz on myself. I can't even believe it. We got to take phone calls. We're getting to the end here. See if there's anything we left out. 339-226-6610. If you're out there and you're like, oh my god, I got to talk about this game. Why haven't they brought up this or that?
Because I know we've forgotten a ton of games that are probably iconic at this point.
Too much to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah, there's so much shit. Hopefully.
Even German will be the first one to call.
Yeah, he's just gonna shit all over Joe.
Yeah, like kill yourself, Joe. I'm gonna eat your kids, Joe. I think I froze my XSplit.
Oh.
I hate when this happens. Oh boy, look at that. All right, well, you guys are gonna be stuck looking at that goofy screen for a while, so sorry about that, but maybe it will come undone. Hey, what's up? We got 214. What's up?
214. I done called a couple times. I never actually said my name. This is Drew 2 Trill. What's good, bro?
Would you say Drew?
Yeah, Drew. I hit you up a couple times on Instagram.
Oh yeah, what's up, Drew? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? I just wanted to get my fucking love out there for my boy Commander Shepard. I don't know if any of y'all guys fuck with Mass Effect.
Oh man, Mass Effect 1 was the balls.
See, I knew we forgot something.
Yeah. When you guys were talking about
No. Mass Effect 2. Oh my god, 2.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Fucking Mass Effect 2, yes.
Who said that?
That was
Himmelgod.
Himmelgod, what is up, my brother?
What's up, man?
Sorry, you can call him the N-word. It's okay.
Yo, you do remember me. Yeah, you remember I was the motherfucker that said the N-word. Yeah.
Oh, shit, that was the star.
It's all right. It's all good.
I think that was like the day right after the fucking WrestleMania. But anyway, Mass Effect 2. Let's talk about something that's actually worth talking about instead of WrestleMania. Mass Effect 2.
You might be
dude. That I don't know.
So bad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know about you guys or maybe Leah. I don't know, but I was like a dude that played the female character, the female shepherd.
Oh, okay. I play the females a lot. It's weird. It's like a weird thing in my mind. I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing that gets my balls more wetter than a powerful woman. Come on, guys.
Yeah, dude. When I'm Laura Croft or like in Resident Evil, I always pick Jill. You know, it's always.
I always play as female characters. Create a character. Even in PUBG, Joe knows. I'm walking around in a bra and underwear. Like, that's my thing. I don't know what it is.
Jake, you sexy motherfucker.
That's what it is. I just always chose females. My destiny, everybody's female. You know.
Right? Yeah. It's all
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Hell no.
Right.
I
Yeah,
only
but
played.
female Shepherd, man, she changed my fucking life, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, I had a dog that was a German Shepherd that I called Shepherd, and like, it was just that game changed my fucking life. Just the whole fact that you can make decisions and they actually amount to something. You lose your crew members that you actually give a fuck about. You know?
Yeah, that stuff is amazing. It literally is like open. It's like a living and breathing game like that with the RPG / shooter. Like,
oh yeah, because I'm with Jake about that whole. What were you talking about, Jake? About how you can click a motion and then like the characters do something. You know, you got to be in the gameplay. You know, like
absolutely.
And that was the first role playing game that put me in the shit. That put me in the fucking, boots to the ground and like when in the final mission I had to split up my. I played the final mission a couple times, and like, whenever you gotta like, separate your team, you go there, you go here, and like, and it's just, it breaks my fucking heart. And like a lot of games, besides maybe God of War and like Last of Us and all that other dumb shit, like a lot of games don't do that now, where like they get you like invested into the whole crew.
Well, you really got invested then on that Mass Effect 3 ending then.
Oh man, fuck the damn Star Child. Oh.
It was so disappointing to go ahead and have all those decisions that you made, those heartfelt, crucial decisions of who lived, who died, and just have generic ending 1, 2, or 2.5. Like, that was it.
No,
I got full 3.
Yeah, I indoctrinated myself, bro. Fuck that screensaver ending, man.
Yeah, that was so disappointing.
That's why I say 2.
Let me ask this question. Were you getting some female sex going on in that game?
Woo, you know me, my guy. I fucked with Jax. I like the bald ones.
I like the bald ones.
He's like, fuck the other game. Fuck the rest of the game. I just want to fuck this chick in this game.
Oh, yeah. Yes, my guy. Fuck yeah. I spent so much money on the DLC and then, like, on everything. And that whole female on female, man, come on. What other game let you fuck your crew members? Come on.
What other game? What other game let you fuck your crew members?
Whenever Mass Effect was out, it was the first thing they would talk about. Here, let's not talk about the game. Let's just talk about how you can fuck your crewmates. That was about it,
There you go. There you go. Hell yeah, right? That was awesome. All I read, but people didn't know behind that vicarious fucking living, because I know you could be a guy and fuck another dude. Let's not forget about Jacob.
Yeah. You had to go ahead and, you just...
I expected him to say Tommy.
Well, I cornholed him.
It's all about that dick.
I cornholed him, bro.
There you go.
Dude,
hey, man, but look, I'm going to let y'all get maybe another callers. I fucking love you, dude.
Yeah,
this
man.
is from the Dallas all the way to Boston. My fucking Cowboy's going to do some work. Good fucking call. Much love. Everywhere.
All right, man. Love you, Drew. Good shit, man.
Right.
Hell yeah. I'm going to spark up to y'all. Keep watching y'all. Y'all keep doing your thing. I see y'all.
All right, thank you, Drew. Good call, man. This
good shit there.
Heistman Defoe, one of our friends.
I just gotta say this to him just real quick. I love you, but go Pat, go.
Dude, Heistman Defoe in the chat wrote, he sounds Blaxican.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my god, dude.
Rose makes a great point. Female characters all the way. You got to look at an ass the whole time. Might as well make it a female's. See, that's why I have female characters.
Maybe that's why I play Tomb Raider so much. Jeez.
Yeah.
See, everybody loved it. The original Tomb Raiders were so hard to control, and as the series grew later on, like the idea of it was fun. But I used to get so frustrated with the first and second game.
I love those.
The control scheme was just
because I'm just looking at her going, oh god.
the reboot that they made for 360, then they brought it over. I cannot wait for the third game to come out this September. The first two have been excellent, so much fun. And just a pleasure to play. And it's another one of those games where you really get invested in the character. So
yes,
you want to see her succeed, and you want to see what's going to happen next. And the story's been really good too. So
did I say I just wanted to fuck her too?
Joe, what about Duke Nukem? You said too.
Yeah, I see. Like all that PlayStation time, like Duke Nukem and Time to Kill, and Tomb Raider, and Twisted Metal, and what do we say? Metal Gear Solid, and
You know what I'm surprised no one said is Silent Hill. You know, the horror games, the horror genre.
Oh shit!
That was like WCW to me. I was like mad at Silent Hill. I was like, no, Resident Evil. So I never played Silent Hill, to be honest.
Yeah, Silent Hill was the
Silent
shit.
Hill. I think I liked it from the first one, and
I held a
maybe
grudge.
into the second, but then after that, it just fell off for me.
Yeah, it was all about this the first two, but the first one I remember specifically because
That
like in the
fog
beginning.
at the beginning.
Yeah, the beginning, I'm just like, what the
shit.
fuck? Like, I keep dying. Like, I don't get this shit. And I would turn off my PlayStation. And then later on, I came back to it because someone told me, yeah, you have to wait. It's a cutscene. You know, like, you're supposed to die. I was like, oh, fuck. I feel like an idiot.
Hey, 718's on the phone. What's up?
Hey, Joe. What's up? It's Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Mark. What's up, man?
Not much. Hello, everyone else. Everyone else. And, what is it? Let me start off by saying, Joe, I'm more of a sports gamer myself.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You're also a
I'm more
cancer
of a sports
patient,
gamer
apparently.
myself. You know, I play NHL. I play NHL a lot, and I play FIFA a lot.
Yeah,
But for me personally, I had an Xbox 2 at one point, but I had the 3 rings of what is it? 3 rings of death or whatever they called it at the time and whatnot.
Ring of death.
I had about 6 of those.
Exactly. I had that, and then Microsoft was going to charge me for some ridiculous amount to fix it. So, excuse me. So I switched to PlayStation, and then when I heard Last of Us was coming out, I basically declared, because I got that game originally, Last of Us, on PlayStation 3. I pre-ordered the whole, collector's edition with the soundtrack, the avatars, the theme, the whole 9 yards and whatnot. And I beat that game on PS3 in like 6 months. I played it on the hardest difficulty. And then when they brought it out on PS4, like remastered, I was just like, I fell in love all over again with the game. And of course, I'm going to get the second game. But personally, for me, that's my favorite game of all time, The Last of Us.
On Twitter.
What was that?
What's up?
15_11 on Twitter.
Yes, it is him. Oh God.
Yeah, right. Because you talked about that, and I brought it up on my show last week.
Yeah. This is Mark.
What's up, dude?
What's up, him? Oh God.
What's up,
But yeah. Oh, by the way, Brian, I have to resub to your YouTube channel because YouTube and Google is retarded. It unsubbed me from your channel.
Oh my
so I'll hit
God.
you up again with the sub later tonight.
I don't get like even on a smaller channel, like you just get this thing going, and even you're getting unsubbed. Like that's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly. It happened. It just happened to me the other day. I haven't got a chance around to like doing it yet because the whole week has been busy and whatnot. But I'll throw you a sub later tonight, Brian.
Cool. Appreciate it, bud.
You're welcome. So yeah, personally for me, Last of Us is the best game in my viewpoint. But what I've been actually recently getting into, Joe, that I'm not sure if you're into it or whatnot, but those decision-making type of games. I don't know if you guys ever play any of those decision-type making games. For example, like Detroit Become Human, where basically where you pick like a decision and it basically affects the kind of game and affects the outcome of the game.
I think
so I've been kind of recently getting into those kind of games.
I think I really liked those back on PC back in the 90s. Games like that really entertained the hell out of me back in the 90s, and I really can't think of one off the top of my head exactly, but like stuff like even like Myst and Riven and like those games and games that were somewhat like those with those ambience that had decision making. I loved those back then, not so much now, but then I really did love
like the Telltale games that they do now, that they have the decision making where they remember the stuff that you did and it goes into future episodes.
That's really cool. I haven't done that.
where it carries forward.
Yeah.
Did we talk about Fable?
Batman, and
I think we did mention it.
So many other games that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm going to start later tonight. Heavy Rain is for free for PlayStation Plus. I don't know if you have downloaded it yet, Brian, but I'm actually going to start that later tonight, Heavy Rain, and see how good that is.
Yeah.
Because I beat that other game, whatever the other game that was like free a couple of months ago.
What's the game? What's the PC game where like everyone is on it and you buy real estate in real life and there's like dudes who own like $1 million parts of the world and shit. Like it's a weird. I didn't even know this existed.
You just said the name of it before too, and now I can't think of it.
Is that what she was talking about?
Yeah,
Battle Earth.
She mentioned it briefly. I forget the name of it.
Battle Earth.
Crap.
Rock.
Earth. It's something spacey like Earthbound or something.
No, it's not Earthbound.
I mentioned.
No, it's not Earthbound. I can tell you that.
Are you talking about the life
Sims,
sim?
right?
That would. Well, I mentioned Second Life. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's what he's thinking of.
This is like a space game where like people.
Oh, the space game. That's the one where you could buy like $1,000 planes that people have, and it was a Kickstarter that had started.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Hold on, it'll come to me in a second.
And again, in GTA, you can do the same thing on the GTA Online. You can
really
exactly you can.
See, I gotta get into that. Try to make money on like games again, Brian.
Star Citizen. Sorry,
Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Dude, this is like a weird like subset of people that I swear to God, like in real life, like would have somebody killed if they fucked with their like stuff. Like in people, it's really bizarre if this is the right game.
But
I'm
the
not
game hasn't
kidding.
even like officially launched in any capacity. And
Right.
like you said, people are buying $10,000 to $20,000 like spaceports and stations.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're on like Alpha 3 now, and it introduces like mining and mini cutscenes and stuff like that, and it's like No Man's Sky on a whole nother level. But people kept buying these massively expensive ships and just the amount of money spent. I forget how much they raised, but it was like some ungodly amount.
Does anyone know how to play Star Citizen? Because I've wanted to play it too, because it just looks I don't know, dude. It looks amazing, but I don't know.
I've never tried it.
No,
on Twitter. Oh my God, I'm having some random dude, casual German.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's got a bunch of friends that deal strictly with this, and the community for it is, like you said, like a secret society. It's nuts.
You know what? I think he might have been the guy who introduced it to me. If this is the game, I'm not sure still if it is, but yeah, it's like I was looking up like top 10 games you can make money in one day, and this game like came up as like one of the tops. And like some guy owns a planet, and it's like to like park on his planet, it's all this money, and then you can flip it and turn it into real money. So it's just, dude, like something is up with this game.
Development began in early, I think like 2010 or 11, and it was supposed to come out like 3 years after that.
Oh my God.
The alpha part, like the original playable part of it, was released in 2013, and that was just for the hangar, so you can view, manipulate, and modify your ships in real time. But you weren't flying; you were just looking at your ships.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find on Kickstarter here. I know it kept getting delayed because it was growing more in scale. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and people just kept, dumping money into it for them to add this and this and this and this. Let me see, right here, funding. I know there was...
Here, read up on that for a second. Let me play a couple of these.
ShiBUM.
Retro Super Mario Yoshi's Island. PC Command & Conquer. Westwood Studios still the benchmark for what a studio should be. Star Wars Jedi Academy. Jedi Halo 2 is still my all-time favorite. Only game I've ever stayed up 3+ days in a row playing.
I only went because he said Westwood Studios, and that like made me go, oh my God, like Sierra Games. But Brandon Collin, thank you very much, Brandon, for the Brandon Colby. What's up, Brandon? Thanks for the $5. I'm sorry the screen's messed up, but yeah, Brandon Colby. Let me play.
Did anybody speaking of that, did anybody play the?
There's gonna be a couple more of these that come in real quick.
I got a gaming topic. Odd accessories and add-on.
I think we could probably save that for next week. We're pretty much at the end here, Casey Yates. Thank you, Casey. We went way longer than I expected in this show today. Yeah, Brian's going to get back to gaming all night, and I'm probably going to play some Diablo. But thank you, Casey Yates and Brandon Colby. And look at this. Steven German is going to come up with, he says Mario Kart was the bomb. Joe, watch what you say. I'll be listening closely. Steven, I'll put a...
no. What is he going to do? Drop negative points on you for next week?
I will put a power glove up your ass. I swear to God.
Super Chat Party.
Thank you, Steven.
Joe, watch what you say. He'll be listening closely.
He'll be
man.
listening closely.
He will be listening. What were we going to say, Leah?
I was wondering if anybody had played, what's it called? The online Star Wars game.
Oh, the Old Republic?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that.
I played when they had like their beta trial period where they were just testing out servers and stuff, but I never played the final.
You know what I did was before they went free to play with like, they just added in microtransactions and shit like that.
Yeah.
But before they did that, I did the monthly subscription thing, and I stopped playing, and I thought I had shut it off.
Mario Kart Wii was the bomb.
I read it already. I read it already. Thank you, Steven.
Oh, yeah. So I had I thought I had shut it off, and then they announced that you could get like a tauntaun to ride, and I was like, sick, or a pet, or whatever it was. It was a pet or something you could ride. But either way, I was like, that's sick. I want that and stuff like. And it was for people that had been like signed up through a certain date. So I was like, oh, let me go sign up again so I can get it and everything. And it was like, you're still signed up, and I was like, oh.
Whoops.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, I got my tauntaun, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, like I mean, that game was fun. The PvP in that game was fun, and I liked the ship battles and like upgrading your ship and stuff like that. That was all fun.
Yeah, a lot of people said that was cool, but there just wasn't enough content.
There wasn't.
That's why I didn't last.
You know what was weird? It was also depressing to like run around on Alderaan, like aw.
Yeah, I bet. You know, oh, this doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, if I remember, there was like
sold...
if I remember, that game had like not too many planets to roam around to or scroll around to travel to.
No, not really, not a ton. But like I said, like
you think for a Star Wars game.
Yeah, but like I said, like the ship stuff and the PvP stuff was fun.
Super Chat Party.
Croc Legend of the Gobos was a great game for PS1.
I remember playing that.
I don't remember that one.
I didn't play that one.
It had tanky controls as well, like a lot of the other games, but it was alright. Wasn't very memorable. I'm surprised. I don't know if anybody has this on their top 10 list, but the Fable series is pretty good.
Yeah, I was so excited for that first Fable
it.
game with the way Molyneux went ahead and sold it like it was going to be the best role-playing action adventure game ever.
Yeah.
And then it didn't really live up to the hype, but it was still fun to play. I still enjoyed what I did get out of it. And then the sequel was going to be even better, and unfortunately we didn't learn our lesson there either. So
I liked Fable 2.
I think it was for me. I was more into the sequel, Fable 2.
Yeah,
Fable 2 was the shit.
First one.
I mean, like it's like I said last week. I almost bought the Xbox for Fable, but the controller is what stopped me. But like, I don't know. Like, but when after I met Joe and everything like that, and like it's like, oh, now I basically have an Xbox. I got Fable 2, and it was, I don't know, I had a ton of fun playing. I like that you could go like 2 different routes, so it's like you play the game and then you can play the game again doing different things.
Yeah.
So it was like a lot of fun.
That's certainly interesting. I found it all here for Squadron 42 is the solo part of Star Citizen, like the actual single player campaign.
He's not sitting at his computer right now.
That's all right.
Okay. Well, I don't know. You'll have to I'm just saying, I thought he wanted to hear it, but whatever. You can tell him later.
I'll tell him later. But one ship sold for $27,000.
Wow. Like real dollars?
27,000 real American monies for an in-game.
Okay, I gotta get onto whatever that is.
Oh my god!
A wide variety of spacecraft ranges in price from $45 to $2,500, and they raised $40 million strictly crowdfunded from Kickstarter or GoFundMe. It says in 2014, Guinness World Records listed the sum of $39,680,000 pledged on Star Citizen's website as the largest single amount ever raised via crowdsourcing.
Wow.
And then they also have other financial backers too that weren't crowdsourced. On May 19, 2017, crowdfunding surpassed $150 million.
Wow, that's crazy.
I can't even justify spending like $20 on an in-game mount on Warcraft. Like, I'm like,
right?
I can't do that.
But $27,000 for a Legatus pack for players who have already spent $1,000 in game, and it's like a complete spacecraft package, but you can only get it if you spend $1,000 or more in the game previously. Then it opens up a chance to get it.
Party.
I am peeing and I have the phone on 20K. Wow. Joe Cronin donating to himself.
That's great. I am peeing and I have the phone on. Wow. Yeah, 20K though. $24,000 to $27,000 for one ship. Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm about to say, who the fuck is that guy?
Joe donating to himself.
I'm only seeing the donation now because I got the stream on mute.
Oh, that's so classic.
That's fucking
Crazy.
funny.
Yeah, I wanted to mention. I don't know if any of you guys owned an N64.
Did. Hold on here.
Spyro the Dragon or Crash Bandicoot.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
the hell out of those.
They just had
Definitely those are
Crash
awesome games.
re-released on, they had it on PlayStation about
Yeah.
6 or 8 months ago. Now it's on Xbox, the N
Yep, and
series there.
Spyro's coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, Spyro too. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
I loved Spyro. Spyro was a ton of fun.
Spyro didn't do good. I think it was like Spyro died because they what was
Poor
it?
Dragon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like that's where Skylanders came
Skylanders,
from.
yeah.
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 So gay. They butchered him.
Can I have?
Yeah, so I don't know if any of
Skyrim
you guys. I don't know if any of you guys owned an N64.
Oh yeah.
Did
I think
anybody?
we all did.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that was actually my very first video game system that I ever got was the N64. Because I transitioned, like, it was funny. I transitioned from getting an N64, then I went to like PlayStation, but then I stayed with like Xbox for a certain amount of years until, of course, the Red Rings of Death, and then I've been with PlayStation ever since. But it's like that phase in your childhood where I guess Nintendo was the more appealing to some of the kids.
Yeah.
You know, because the whole Pokemon thing and Mario and all that stuff. So that's kind of like how I started out.
See, Nintendo cornered the market entirely at that point in time with the 64 for a good bit, and then PlayStation was able to not overcome it, but they secured their own niche in the video game market, because originally N64 they went ahead and they came in side by side essentially with the PlayStation release around 96-ish, 97, so around there, and as where PlayStation was focusing on these high res graphics and story games and things of that nature. 64 had children's titles, like you said, Mario. Nintendo also had their usual, round of suspects. Then they also added Pokemon. And then you also go ahead and they had things like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark.
Exactly.
And, so they had things for the older kids, the teens and adults. And so they were able to really, not have to spread themselves thin. They had a wide array of titles. So there was a little bit of something for everybody. They had sports games, they had racing games, they had fighting games. That it was all encompassing. PlayStation eventually
it was kind of like basically an all-in-one system.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
It really was.
And then what was great too, even though because I probably stayed with Nintendo for like the longest time. Well, I went from 64 to I remember like PlayStation, but then I went back to Nintendo in that little span of time when the GameCube came out. That's probably more than that's probably like in the 2000s, somewhere in the early 2000s. I went to I got a GameCube and I played Kirby Air Ride nonstop, which is obviously in my top 10 games too. People thought that game was boring as hell. It's like, what the hell you do? It's like it was so fun, that game, Kirby Air Ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember for the
one thing you mentioned, like with Nintendo and how they had the market for people of all ages, and then with PlayStation, they found a way to carve out their own niche, which was basically get the Japanese games. So when you had all these Japanese games that are crossing over to the West, that was a way for them to gain a sort of advantage. So when you're playing games that you've never heard of before, like back in the day when Yakuza started coming into play, and if you even look into today with companies like Vanillaware, like no one's heard of these companies except out in Japan, and all of a sudden they make some of the best games you probably ever played. It's ridiculous how I can sit there, turn on my PlayStation, and play stuff like Yakuza, or I'm playing stuff like Dragon's Crown or Odin's.
And that's only surface level. I mean, it goes so much deeper than that. And when you think about it too, a friend of mine was really, really big. Ryan, he was huge into anime and Dragon Ball Z. And one of the Dragon Ball Z games he wanted to play, he had to get a certain PlayStation to play it. It wasn't NTSC because he imported it from Japan, I believe it was.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So he had to get a PlayStation that could play like the PAL type files for games, and that was like a huge deal for him to get that, and it wasn't dubbed or anything, and it was crazy. But the fact is, that he would import games that you couldn't even play.
PlayStation has so many niche games, it's ridiculous. Like there's a lot of people that are into Senran Kagura, there's people that are into Onichambra or whatever, games that nobody else would really think about, but they're into those games that might be a little perverted or whatever, that they're into that shit,
Oh yeah.
I'm into games like Persona. I think Persona is a fucking great series. And
I was watching Liz play that for a while.
But it's not.
She was streaming that. Liz was the other day, and she was playing that, and it's interesting. I don't know if I can get into it myself, but it was fun to watch at least. So, Persona 5.
That to me, yeah. Last year, that to me was like in contention for Game of the Year. Obviously, I picked Zelda, but if it wasn't for that game coming out, Persona 5 definitely should have been Game of the Year that year.
Yeah. Leah, I'm gonna link it in the chat on Skype. This is great. There's a guy in the Grand Theft Auto 5 role-playing community known as Sheriff Eli, and he sticks to his police officer role, like fully dedicated. And these are some of his funniest moments in the role-playing community. So you have to check that out at some point.
Can you send it to me in Messenger? That way it'll save and I can watch it in a little while.
It's so good though. If I find a better video, I'll send it to you as well. But that one was just one I found quick. It's too funny.
Yeah.
I want to mention.
Go ahead.
I wanted to mention as well. The late '90s and early 2000s was great for video games when there was no microtransactions.
Yes.
I have my own take on microtransaction, and of course I'm guilty to a certain extent as well on spending money on certain games. But just the early '90s to 2000s, sometimes you get that nostalgia thing of playing old games where you didn't have to buy anything. It was just great, and I still do from time to time. But try to lay off the microtransactions.
Well, Himmelgod, then stay away from Himmelgod when he opens up about 100 boxes of something.
I did it with Overwatch. That's probably one of the very few games that I'll do microtransactions in because I find it fun.
It is fun.
And
well,
other
that's the
than
thing.
that, I probably won't touch any other game with microtransactions. So,
but you also, it's really just a good gimmick if you're trying to get views on the channel, because like when you see somebody oh damn, like, because I said that to someone a while ago, I go, you know who could do this because he's got a decent amount of money, is Himmelgod. He could really as a gimmick open up 100 boxes or something, and people just can't believe that you can do that. That could really.
You realize how many channels people do that now? It's ridiculous.
Really,
they open up $100 or $200 worth of loot boxes at this point for Call of Duty. And
you know what you do though, Himmelgod? You take you drop $1,000, you got 1,000 boxes.
I'll be on for over a fucking hour opening up loot boxes.
Dude, you could record it every other day, and then on the 7th day uploaded the 700 boxes or whatever. Nobody's done that.
That's when Joe says, "Man, I wish I could be doing that right now."
Yeah, I would definitely be into that if I was forget about it if I was really rich, because I'd be definitely a little bit not attention starved if I was say I hit the lottery and I had $900 million. I would. Obviously I would give to charities and all over the place and fun things and cool projects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it would be fun to be hey, guess what? I'm opening up 10,000 loot boxes in Overwatch live on the stream, and we're not stopping. And I would have a donation thing for the kids, what's it called?
Yeah, but wouldn't stuff repeat?
Who cares?
Yeah.
That would be boring.
It does. But
what do you mean you would find everything? Well, if I found everything, then I guess it wouldn't matter then, right?
But there's so many people that do that. A lot of people do these openings and they get millions of views at times, depending on the game and when it comes out. Like Call of Duty was doing the supply drops for a while. That was huge. And a lot of it's just fake reactions like, oh, my God, that kind of stuff. And especially kids, young, probably Danny and Gavin's age, in between that range. Yeah. They eat that up like it's, a cat to a saucer of milk. Like it's just, they consume it endlessly.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. I just hung up on Mark by accident. Sorry, Mark.
Shit. I almost hung up on you before again, so we're good there. But
Mark, my bad, bro. I didn't mean to do that, but we really got to get out of here. Any game anyone wants to close out with before we get out of here? Next week's episode, I don't actually exactly know what we're talking about, but it will be interesting to see what we do talk about. Perhaps we will maybe dive back into some Nintendo stuff or something, or the future of. We might be talking the future of gaming, that might be something we talk about.
Blake just sent me this. Google's reportedly working on a video game console themselves and a streaming service for it.
Yeah,
Leah laughed at that
because their cell phone worked out great.
Yeah, well,
Leah said that, but I said, you know what?
But
people said the same thing about the Xbox when that was launching.
Yeah, and then I said after that, the only way that is going to succeed and survive is if they come out with some revolutionary game.
Yeah,
like
okay,
Microsoft
right.
had Halo.
That's true. And then I said to Leah, I said that's what got me watching the Triumph of the Nerds, because he focuses on the killer app in that. He talks about how the computer systems back in the 70s, the Lotus 123 was a crazy app. Like that was a thing that people had to have that program for offices when IBM launched that with Bill Gates. And also Excel, the spreadsheet software. Those guys, did you know that they never patented that and they made nothing? They made the idea, they made the whole thing. Those guys got screwed. Like Wozniak and Ballmer and Gates and what's his face from Apple, like they're all rich, and these guys, and these guys got nothing. Like and the guy that made the Altair, the guy that made the Altair 8800, that dude, he went out of business. His calculator company or whatever went out of business. All these guys like basically launched stuff and got left behind. And the guy's like a doctor now. It's just that documentary is hilarious. You must watch that. It's about a killer app, but it all comes back to that app that you have to have that sells the machine, just like Halo sold the Xbox. Yeah, what is Google going to do? Will they go VR? Like that's the stuff we're really going to be talking about next week. Like, will Google?
They got to buy somebody at this point. I think that's the best way for them to go. They got to buy a studio to go ahead.
A Kickstarter. What about a Kickstarter?
They need an exclusive, is what it is.
Yeah,
it's not so much. It's not about the system. It's about a kick-ass game that people want, that they have to buy that one specific system to play.
Yeah, the software breeds demand for the hardware. You can't access the software without the hardware. Therefore, like Leah said, Joe was touching on too. If you don't have that, there's no reason to drive sales for the console.
Wouldn't you think they have something though? Because they know that, right? So they
have to be aware of this. There has to be something they're working on that we just haven't heard of yet. I mean, come on, there's got to be something.
Plus, I mean, dude, if I was them, I'd just browse the Kickstarter pages of the gaming. But the problem is, a lot of those guys now, it's similar to the music industry. Unless they're willing to pay a certain amount of money, all these studios would rather get funded by people, release it themselves, and not have to deal with putting it on some console or dealing with that cut. But I don't know, that'll be really
Crystal
interesting.
Dynamics, that's the first company I look at when the company that did Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And they had the exclusive with Microsoft, and they never sold very well because of the fact that they were exclusive to Microsoft and nobody really bought the game.
Yeah.
And it took like a year for them to get it out on PS4, and then when it showed up, barely anybody on PS4 bought the game. So they were all salty over the fact that they were, Microsoft exclusive. So
yeah, really,
it's a big deal.
I remember. Well, I mean, I guess it's got to get out there, because even Halo, like you said, like I played Halo and I thought was blown away. And 8 months to a year and a half later, the kids in my school still had no idea what the hell, and it was like, wow, like so you really have to really strike gold. And I don't know, hopefully they do, so there's even more competition. I'll take more competition if they can do it.
Competition's good.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for it. Who it really affects, honestly, is the people that really don't. Like, and maybe I won't be able to do it. People that don't have a lot of money. That's when it starts affecting those people, because it's like, oh man, there's this, there's that, there's this. I have all these things to choose from. You really have to make a very strong decision about what you're going to be able to purchase. You know what I mean? So for people like that, it's pretty crazy. Like, you can't just go, I'm going to go get the new Xbox, the PlayStation, and now I'm going to get the Google thing. You are making one decision. So that's why the game has to be that good. It has to be so good that that's just the one thing you want all year. And even somebody who's, lower middle class and poverty level can eventually save up to buy that as a consumer for their kid or whatever. Guys, we got to get out of here. Thank you for watching, listening, wherever you are. Thanks to the patrons for making this possible. People like Himmelgod and D Moon, who are here, but they are contributors as well on Patreon, big time. Check out Himmelgod's YouTube channel.
YouTube.com/BuzzKillerB. We'll have another episode of The Himmelgod Has Spoken this Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
One more time, YouTube.com/BuzzKillerB.
Yeah.
All right, I always get it wrong.
For this week only, because it's the 4th of July, we will have the episode on Friday at 8 p.m., well before Monetize This.
Ooh.
And we'll be talking about that Google console and about another Marvel vs. Capcom rumor that's going around right now about an uncanny addition to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Oh yeah!
At this point, guys, I think we should just all get in and create a gaming gossip website. Let's do it. No one's ever. I'm not kidding. I'm saying, like, come on. Let's do it. Also want to say thanks to Cassie Lynn, Derek Hans, Valesky 14, Miro, Scott McKinnon, Hamza, Cindy, and is that everybody? That's at least most of the new patrons. Thank you for all becoming patrons. Hope you guys sign up. Gorilla Strong is back. Mr. Tyler Floyd, Gorilla Strong. And that's it. Next week we'll be talking about some of that stuff, the future of gaming and all that stuff. Get a warm-up of it with Himmelgod, Himmelchamp.
Yeah, I want to pick Leah's brain about cheating and the ramifications of with VR porn, you know?
Yeah. We'll probably
interactive next level
going on this week about the very first game you've ever played. So.
Ooh, that's a great one too.
Oh yeah,
that's hard for me to remember. The first game I played was Peekaboo with some strip. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh wait, we all did that. Never mind.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. This is episode 2. There's also a first episode that we did with Jake. I did solo, but we're gonna keep those PUBG podcasts separate. So we're gonna have PUBG podcasts, State of PUBG, this one, everything. We'll see you next week at 10 p.m. See you tomorrow night for all the wrestling people. And goodbye. This will be up in audio form, by the way, on Patreon as well. So in a couple hours, you can download this on Patreon. Patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. Goodbye. It is ready to go.
Yeah, it sucks you're there for that long, but
yeah,
that's a job. It's money, man. I can't.
No, I know you can't.